disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're heavy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're heavy because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right. Hey, welcome everybody to another BD Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. There's your good friend, Mr. BDA. And I tell you something, fellas, we got ourselves a sensational, and I do mean sensational, Saturday of boxing coming up later on this weekend. Ooh-wee. What do we got, you might be saying? Well, we've got Gennady Golovkin versus Murata, 5 in the morning. Power Puncher versus Power Puncher. How's that sound for you? Then we've got the King Garcia, my goodness gracious, against Emmanuel Tagoe, who is a good fighter. Let me tell you, he's no pushover. He's not easy to hit, so that's going to be an interesting one. And of course, on Showtime that same night, Erickson Lubin taking on Sebastian Fundora, the 6 feet 5 inch freakazoid that might just prove to be the next Paul Williams. You just never know. So we've got all that and more. We're going to talk about everything that's going to be taking place on Saturday, some of the rumors, some of the gossip taking place in boxing as well. We're going to be opening the phone lines, I'd say within the next 30 to 45 minutes. So hopefully you guys can call in and give us your thoughts on everything boxing. Now, before we do that, fellas, before we get down to the fun, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and make sure to donate by joining the membership program. So, super chats, I'm getting tired of the super chats, fellas. I mean, we appreciate them, but it's not conducive. YouTube takes 30%. So essentially, we're funding YouTube here, and they're not doing much for us in return. So join the membership program. At least we give you something in return via emojis and badges and special film analysis. All right. But again, the most important thing is that you continue to like, subscribe, to spread the BDA gospel. Because I'm gonna tell you something, fellas. I've been meeting a lot of sinners lately, particularly this past weekend. I went to a strip club to do a little research on sinners. And there were a lot of them there, man. A lot of them. So we need to spread the BDA gospel. Just like that one stripper was spreading her legs on stage. Anyway, we're going to get down to everything here. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. I'm talking about Kid Top Skull, All Natural, Eparokua, Gold Sky Beats. Shout out to Gold Sky Beats. Bernard. Or is that Bernard? I always forget. But shout out to you, Bernard. Team Batman Boxing, the Quags, Soothsayer in there as well. Knockout Ned. Shout out to WK Devon. Muller 27, Blues Boxing, Eric Gomez, who says, "You are lucky you yelled Bomb Squad all weekend, BDA. I will let it slide this time, but next time I will need proof." All right, thank you, Eric. You're a good man. You're like my God. You are merciful. Team Batman Boxing, Punchy Smollett, Blues Boxing. So many more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Oh, Leonardo Campos Vasquez. Shout out to Leonardo. And everyone else that might be dropping by later on. Let me make a couple of calls here, start cooking with a little hot grease, and then we'll talk about some of the fights taking place this weekend. Like I said, there's going to be some interesting developments, and I think there's going to be some action, fellas. I sincerely think that. I think there's going to be some drama, some boxing skill, and maybe someone's getting knocked the fuck out. Again, I can't tell for sure, but that's usually the way they go. All right? Hold on a second. I'm inviting people here. Didn't have time to do it beforehand. Sorry. What do you want from me? Who else was here? All right, I see. I might have to fly solo. But what are people saying in the chat room? Richard Harrell says, got in under the wire. Soothsayer says, I can smell the Crimson Inquisition all over you, BDA, after you left the strip club. Well, yeah, I mean, I got to admit that it was starting to flare a little bit there. The fire was coming out. Muller says, come on, BDA, connect to your neighbor's Wi-Fi already. Don Ramon Champ says, YouTube needs competition, so they stop acting like they control everything. There's some competition out there, I'm going to tell you. All right, we got Chief and we got Gonzalo dropping by. Fellas, are you there?
Hey, man, how are you? Hey, Gonzalo, how are you?
Well, I'm doing
What's up,
fantastic. I hope you guys are doing fantastic as well. Listen, fellas, we got ourselves a full night of boxing on Saturday. Some very entertaining fights. First of all, I want to start off with the whole Golovkin-Murata thing because I've been hearing some people saying, well, what's so significant about this fight? Well, how about Golovkin saying he's going to be 41, I believe? Or he's going to be 40 the day after the fight. 40 or 41. He's no spring chicken. I know we're in the age now after Bernard Hopkins where everyone thinks, if you're in your 40s, you can compete against these youngest, but not always. Not always. So he's taking on a guy who's 35, power puncher. He's hungry. He's got the Japanese spirit. Guys, what do you think about that fight?
Well, first of all, Bernard Hopkins didn't have 350 amateur fights. So he didn't have that wear and tear on him. He learned how to fight in prison, which I'm not saying is any easier, but the wear and tear of fighting from a kid all the way through into adulthood adds up when you're 40 more than no amateur career at all, which is roughly the rumor of Hopkins. So you're right. You got a younger lion, not a young lion, taking on the guy that most people are expecting to go out to pasture soon. And he's fighting in his home country, Murata is. And Triple G's traveling again. And we know that can be a plus or a minus, but we know the Japanese are a proud people. He wants to be a star. He wants to be considered a real middleweight in the division. And this is his launching platform to do that, to become a multi-belt champion in a wide open division.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So there's a lot at stake here, especially for Golovkin, where he's got the rubber match down the line. And by the way, I was listening to Thunderdome, and I think he said, or somebody in the chat room said that rubber match is dependent on Canelo winning his fight with Bivol. So it might not happen. There's still a lot of obstacles there. And the first one is, of course, that Golovkin has to get past Murata. Gonzalo, when it comes to Golovkin, he's going to be 40 after the fight. His style always depended on his accuracy because he was not the fastest guy in the world. And now you have to assume he's going to be slower. Is it safer for him to try to take Murata out early in the fight, or should he just let things play out and not run into a big punch? What do you think?
Well, that's a good question. I think the styles will mesh together well in the sense that they're both. Hello?
Yeah, you're still here, man.
Hello?
No, you're still here.
Yeah, they're gonna be there both to take punches and to give and take, because they both come forward, they throw punches. They're not that young, but it doesn't really matter because these guys are gonna exchange. It's gonna be like a toe-to-toe battle between two smaller Mexicans, but these guys are middleweights in the sense that they're gonna be trading punches back and forth. Back and forth. It's gonna be a hell of a fight. It's gonna be a great fight. And I don't know how exciting it's going to be because over there they're kind of silent, the crowd in Japan. But, make no mistake, over here, when I'm going to be watching on my TV, I'm going to be hooting and hollering because, I'm going to be excited.
Hey, by the way, it's going to be 5 a.m. here where I'm at on the East Coast. So that means over there in the Philippines, you're going to be around the same time as the Japanese, right?
Yeah, probably, because this is Asia, so I believe so, BD.
Good for you. So it's probably going to be at night. It's interesting that the Japanese did not try to get, or they didn't capitulate and change the time. They say, hey, listen, a lot of people are going to be watching this fight here in Japan, so it's actually better for us if we hold it at night here than if they, try to appease us and hold it over there in the afternoon or something. Be that as it may, Golovkin, like I said, he's a slower guy now. The last time he took on a quality middleweight, he struggled mightily against Evdochenko, but Murata's not that type of guy. like Davidchenko. He's not a, do whatever you got to do to win. He doesn't throw as many shots, but he does throw. Actually, I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted about that because he did throw. He threw about 700 to 800 shots in some of his fights, especially the ones that went the distance. So he's an active guy. He's heavy-handed. He seems to have a good heart, even though he's never actually fought a power puncher. Guys, how do you see this fight playing out? That's what I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. 700, 800 punches for a middleweight that's got heavy hands. Those are a lot of punches.
I think
that's not a bantamweight. That's not a featherweight. That's a middleweight. So, yeah, that is a lot of punches.
Let me check the punch stats because I got him right here. By the way, shout out to
BDA. I'm conflicted about one thing, too, man.
Yes.
Davidchenko, the day that he fought Golovkin, that guy was on fire that night. I made a reference to Meldrick Taylor. He came to win.
Mm-hmm.
He came to win. And aside from that performance that Golovkin still edged out and was able to drop Davidchenko, nobody's even really giving them that severe of a beating. The Canelo fights were close. Gigi, you probably got the best of Canelo in the first and second fight as well. Then aside from the Davidchenko, everybody's entitled to have a close fight. What other close fight has Golovkin ever really had that we're just going to chalk it up on the age thing?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point right there, Gonzalo. And I just checked the punch stats. When he went 12 rounds against Brandt and he lost that fight, he threw 774 shots. Like you said, that's a lot of manpower there, a lot of ordnance for a middleweight, especially a guy who's heavy-handed. Before anyone goes, shout out to Rex for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, I got Murata by crane kick. By crane kick. Imagine if the fucker actually does it, man. That would be a sight to behold. Who else wants to comment on this fight? Golovkin and Murata. Do you think it goes the distance? Who do you think wins? I mean,
we don't know what kind of. They say the power is the last thing to go, but George Foreman proved that wasn't true. It's a topic for another time. I have examples, but he's living proof of the fact that power is not always the last thing to go. And with that said about Golovkin, who's known for being a power boxer, is his power still there? Was it based off of explosiveness of his muscles from the workouts he was doing when he was younger and working out harder? And do they have the same reaction time as they used to? Point being, though, in all this is how it can play out is we're expecting Golovkin to go forward and these two to trade and everything else. However, Golovkin boxed very well, moving backwards with the jab against Canelo in a fight that some people still thought he won. Because some people thought he won, some probably thought it was a draw, some thought it was a clear loss. But it's so mixed that you have to say that against that level of competition, it was a steady performance of using skills outside of aggression. And he's got a good jab. It's very accurate. And he can back up and still hit people and hurt them like he did against Canelo in that fight. Can Murata adapt if he has to be the pressure fighter and he has to come forward, and can he break that jab? Can he do these things to offset anything? Because Golovkin does have a second dimension. We've seen it. Can he do that? I haven't seen enough of him to really know. I've usually just watched highlights. But if he can't, if Golovkin gets hurt and then goes to box and starts using that jab and dropping the right hands like he did to Canelo in the second fight, Murata's going to have a tough night. And what is he going to have the skills and the talent to offset that plan B? That's your big question. If he can't do that, he's going to lose.
You know what, man? If this fight would have been taking place in 2015, 2016, 2017, like this version of Murata against the 2016 version of Golovkin, I would have no hesitation in picking Golovkin. However, like you guys saying, 40 years old, it's a different world, especially over there in Japan, the Far East. That being said, man, let me tell you, some people have been saying, well, who the fuck is Murata? Who is it? The guy's a nobody. Well, first of all, that type of commentary is very, it's conducive to very low quality conversation. Oh, that guy's a bum. This guy's a bum. This guy's a tomato can. It's like, let's really get down to the nitty gritty here. Murata, he lost to Endam the first time, but that fight was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. Murata clearly won that fight. I don't know what the judges were watching. And then he avenged that rematch. In the rematch, he avenged that fight. He fights Rob Brandt. Rob Brandt floods him with offense. Threw 1,000 shots in that fight. Murata still made it competitive. And in the rematch, he runs through Brandt. So we're seeing a guy who can make adjustments in the rematches, such as being more vicious and going to the body more from the get-go. So my question to you is, if he fights Golovkin that way, if he goes to the body, and we saw Davidachenko hurt Golovkin to the body in their fight, is there a chance Golovkin gets stopped in this fight? Or how much of a chance, rather?
The chances drastically increase when you work the body, especially when a power puncher is working the body, and especially when he's working an old body, which Golovkin happens to be in possession of. He is not young. He is 40. The body changes drastically at 30, changes even more drastically at 40, regardless of how good keep yourself in. So if he works the body well and is effective in doing it, then yeah, stop Golovkin. We haven't seen something come close to that, so it's kind of hard to fathom. Like, visualize, it doesn't mean it can't happen. We have seen his bell rung a little bit by Devinchenko, and we have seen what happens when you flurry and work the body like Canelo did in the second fight, which is why a lot of people thought he won. It did slow Golovkin down some. It did throw his game off. It did throw his timing off. So with those factors in place, with a heavier-handed fighter, and at 160, the heavier-handed fighter between Canelo and Murata appears to be Murata on paper, even though Canelo fought a higher level of competition. So back to your question, if he works the body, can he hurt Golovkin and possibly stop him? The answer is yes, an old Golovkin. But again, we haven't seen Golovkin truly hurt to where anyone's really come close to threatening that.
Yeah. I think he can hurt him, but the thing is, if he keeps going to the body, that opens the chance up for Golovkin to land a shot upstairs, which he most certainly will. If he keeps going to town on the body, Golovkin will be in position and will have a clear opening to land those shots that he likes to turn over to the top of the head. And that's going to happen, especially look, the guys that Golovkin has fought, the guys that get on the back foot and run away, Golovkin is still able to pursue them, chase them down, get into distance, and throw those shots where he's still able to clip those guys and knock them out. When a guy's coming forward, the space between you and me becomes less. And if you're in position for so I can punch you, but then I got that clear opening to the top of the head because you keep going to my body, man, that allows me to land a clear shot to you that's, if you're not going to take me out on the first one, but you keep going to my body, I'm just going to time you and I'm going to line you up to land my shot. And Golovkin still hit hard. So that's going to happen. That's going to happen if he keeps going to town to the body. So I would advise, I would suggest, he can't hear me, obviously, but if I were Murata's corner, I would be wise about doing that because we know that Canelo is a body puncher, but he didn't get too comfortable in that zone to do that willingly or freely. So, he's got to be careful.
Well, listen, we got Jimmy dropping by here. He's in the background. Jimmy, what do you think about this Golovkin-Murata fight? How do you see it going?
Well, it'd be a shame if he lost, and if he gets knocked out, he just destroys his legacy. I hope it was worth the money. It would be, because if he goes out getting starched by this kid, that will be the fucking, no matter how many of us will remember him for what he was, it'll be the underlining, tag laid on him. So I don't know. Like I said, I wish he were already retired. You never get better at this age. You just don't. You know what I mean? Things always get harder. And like Chief said, you're 40 years old. And I know, like he said, he made the right point. He said, like everybody said, well, I've never been 40 before when asked. He's like, I've never been 40 before. Right now, I feel fine. But everybody feels fine. Fuck, I feel fine right now at my age. Feeling fine and getting punched in the fucking head for 12 rounds is two different animals. You know what I mean? You don't know until you're in there. I don't care how much sparring you do, not even sparring, but overtraining, he's definitely the type of dude that has to be pulled out of the gym. Just going to come down to legs. If he has any youth left in them gams, he's going to fucking beat that kid up. If he doesn't, it's going to be a fight.
He looked pretty good against Seremata, but then again, that was Seremata, and that was a year ago. So, like you said, the guys in their 40s, they don't get better, and if they're not fighting, could be difficult there. But then again, Murata hasn't been all that active either, so that could play into his hands as well.
You're right. Nonito 90, 6 losses, gonna rematch Inoue. Oh, that's a great fight. Golovkin, Nonito 90, 40 years old, 6 losses, gonna fight Inoue. Oh, that's a great fight. Gennady Golovkin, 1 loss, is gonna fight Murata or Canelo, oh man, he's old.
Yeah.
See, where's the logic in that?
Well, Gonzalo, that brings me to my next point here. If he beats Murata and he destroys him, you're going to see a lot of hype now for a Canelo rubber match. So let's get right down to it because there's a lot to get to here today. I'm going to give you my official prediction and then we'll go around because usually I ask you before, but I'm just going to give it. I think Golovkin's going to stop this guy. I think it might get difficult in the middle rounds, but I think he's just going to tee off on Murata. So I'm going to say Triple G by stoppage somewhere in the late rounds. Gonzalo, what do you think?
Triple G, 11th round stoppage.
Oh, all right. So if Gonzalo agrees with me, then I know I'm on the right track. Let's see if everybody else agrees. Jimmy, what do you think?
Triple G 10th round stoppage, just so we're not all on the same thing. That's what I did last time, and I was going to say 11th, but I went with the 10th with Fury Wilder, the third one, because Gonzalo went ahead of me and picked the 11th. So I didn't want to copy him, but so I'm going to do it again, the 10th. But I was going to go the 11th because that's just always those. That's when you know what I mean. Those 2 extra rounds, you step into that. And I agree with because I'm a slight bit hypocritical on to what Gonzalo's point is. I didn't poo-poo the Donaire Inoue fight like I am the Triple G fight is because this is my opinion. I've seen a massive decrease in Triple G's skills since 2015. If you look at the fights then, the way he moved, the crispness of his punches, no hesitation on when to let him go, to now. But then if you look at Donaire, he went on this bizarre trip where all of a sudden he was looking like worn, and he admitted he was done in 2013, right? 2014, by then he was sparked out, but he was reborn, and he looked about as good as he's looked in recent, in memory in the last 2 fights. So for that reason, I'm not as down on it, but I did call for Donaire to retire a few years ago. But I am definitely more down on the Triple G still fighting just because of the middleweight, being a middleweight and whatnot. But
all right, well there you go. I mean, that's you just never know how these things are going to turn out. Sometimes, like Bernard Hopkins, he used to take year-long breaks in his 40s, and he lost very little when he came back. Chief, let's go to the Pagan Chieftain. What's your prediction for this out of this fight between Golovkin and Murata?
So I look at this one similar to Mayweather and Canelo of, is Father Time going to cash in here? And if he does, then I'm going to go with Murata. But based off of my prediction, and we haven't seen a significant enough slow against a fighter that should technically be tailor-made for Golovkin on paper, I'm with you guys of a late round stoppage. I can also see a close decision, like I said, if he fights like the second Canelo fight, going backwards, using the jab, making him walk in the right hands. If I'll go ahead and go with Jimmy about 11th round.
Oh, all right. So we're all on the same page here. Now, let me tell you, if Golovkin struggles or loses this fight, I got no qualms about saying that or stating that he is indeed severely compromised from a physical standpoint, because I got no doubts that back in 2016, 2017, even 2018, I think he would have run through Murata. So if he struggles with the guy, all right, maybe it's possible. Maybe we underestimate Murata, but from what I've seen of the guy, defensively, I don't think he can stop Golovkin. So
has he ever been stopped, Murata?
No, he's only lost by decision, and the Murata decision was
Japanese. Tough too, so that would be a feather in his cap. But still, Canelo right now is in his physical prime. You know what I mean? It's not so much the Murata fight; it's just if he looks even decent, I don't want him to trick himself into. I don't know. I just think Canelo at this point at this age, could really hurt him, like life altering. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think
I'm
you might.
not positive he can, due to the fact that it was Billy Joe Sanders and Caleb Plant that he was hurting. In any other division, those guys don't even win titles. At 160, they don't even win titles. At light heavyweight, they don't win titles. At super middleweight, they do, and they get stopped by Canelo. That's all I got to say on that.
I mean, listen, I get the feeling a lot, if Golovkin runs through Murata, we're going to see a lot of changed opinions. People that were hesitant to enjoy a potential Golovkin Canelo rubber match, they're going to start saying all of a sudden, ooh, I can't wait for that one. But like I said, Canelo still has to fight and beat Bivol for that fight to happen. So we're going to see what happens, man. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be very interesting. Now, for some reason here, my prediction page got frozen. So I might have to ask you guys to remind me about your prediction before the end of the show so I can rewrite them. Also, this Saturday, we're going to have Sebastian Fundora taking on Erickson Lubin. Now, Lubin is a quick-handed guy, one of the first to really beat Ishi Smith convincingly. He also beat Nathaniel Gallimore and Jason Rosario in a quite fun, entertaining fight a couple of months ago. Fundora, on the other hand, what a freak. 6 feet, 5 inches tall. He's undefeated. Didn't look all that hot in his last fight against that crazy-looking Spaniard guy. But this fight's going to be interesting. Who wants to comment on that one? Well, what can we expect on Saturday night?
Excited about this one. This seems like an early crossroads. So crossroads doesn't mean it's the end of each kid's career because they're both very young. But it's Erickson Lubin's already proven the fact he's a contender-level guy, even though Charlo knocked him out in one round. He's proven the fact that he's viable amongst the Tony Harrisons and all of the other underachieving, slightly above B-level fighters that the junior middleweight division has outside of the two champions. Having said that, he still got knocked out in one round by the lighter hitting, the lighter hitting Charlo on paper. 18 knockouts out of 34 fights. He does not hit as hard as his brother, and he got knocked out in one round. So now you have this young freak of nature who can punch when he gets the right leverage on his shots against tailor-made competition to where he can dictate the space and the terms. So if he can't do that against Lubin, this is going to answer a lot of questions on both of them. Has Lubin been brought around slowly since that loss to build his confidence back up? Is he another J-Rock who has a lot of skills, but boxing skills, but isn't a fighter? He can box, but can he fight? When the fight gets in, does he lose? Like what happened with J-Rock, like what happens to Tony Harrison? Or is this young guy attractive to us by the eye test because he's so tall and lanky and still knocks people out? So the questions are going to be answered when these two fight. It's going to be one, a premier guy to fight in the division outside of Tim Tszyu. And two, so questions are going to be answered. Is Erickson Lubin really just a PBC re-ring guy that they keep using, or is he a viable contender? Or
front runner.
I don't argue. And then, of course, if he loses, that's going to be the answer. And then just because Fundora beats him, Lubin's been knocked out in one round. So does this really mean that he's a viable contender based off of namesake, or did he really knock out a viable contender? I think it's going to be fun either way, and I'm looking forward to watching it because they both have something to prove.
Absolutely. Hey, by the way, before we continue, shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. I forgot to read his comment. He says, Morata's kind of sloppy. If Triple G's not shot, he should win. Exactly. That's all of our sentiments right there, Chris K. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution. Gonzalo, yes, please go ahead, man.
Yeah, as far as what's that guy's name? The tall guy, the Towering Inferno versus Saint Lubin. Lubin. Yeah, that's a 50-50 fight to me. 50-50 fight because, okay, Lubin's, he's a little chinny, but if he can deal with the power, they're going to go back and forth, and Lubin's going to gain momentum. The tall guy, having advantage in length or longer arms sometimes is an advantage. Sometimes it's not, because it takes more for you to, reincorporate your length and get back to punching again when you draw your arms back and start throwing punches, every time. So especially if you're that long, it takes that much more time, especially if you're fighting on the inside, close to the other, because that's the style you fight. So I'm going to throw a hook to the body. I got to crank up that hook, and if I miss or I land and I'm getting ready to throw again, the other guy's going to punch too. So he's going to punch every time you punch, and drawing those arms back, and re-punching again takes a lot of time. So having an advantage in length, length sometimes is an advantage, and sometimes it's not. But especially if you're that long, when it's sometimes not, that's the moment you can capitalize. If you're the shorter man who can punch in between your shots more, that's what I'm saying. That could play against him. So we're gonna see that. We're gonna see that, and we saw a little bit against that pesky style that Sergio Garcia, I believe that's the Spaniard's name, brought to the table. I thought he won. I thought he beat the Towering Inferno guy. So Lubin's a good fighter. Yeah, he's a little chinny, but like I said, if he can deal with the power and go back and forth with the guy in the exchanges and is able to handle the power, he might start getting the best of the tall guy because he's there's the space in between for him to punch, to thread that needle.
Hey, shout out to Kenshiro for his contribution with the super chat. He says, "What up, Ese? Eating chicken and chips, seeing BDA." Oh, shout out to you, Kenshiro. Hope you're enjoying that chicken. Hopefully, it's healthy roasted chicken, particularly the thighs. And hope you're enjoying the show, man. Shout out to Kenshiro for his contribution. Gonzalo, that is an excellent point that you brought up, that sometimes the height and the reach can be a disadvantage, especially since Lubin has the quicker hands. So he should be able to get the best of Fundora. If he fights completely on the outside and then completely on the inside and smother Fundora, he might have a shot. But like you said, he's very chinny. We don't know how his stamina is going to hold up if Fundora starts putting a lot of pressure on him. And a lot of people have been comparing Fundora to Paul Williams. Now, I think Paul Williams was a better fighter. Maybe, hey, Fundora's young. Maybe he's going to improve later on in his career. But he does have those Paul Williams-esque type qualities. He's tough. He can fight on the inside for a tall guy. And he does pack a wallop on his shots. It's not the Deontay Wilder type shots that are going to knock you out with one shot, with one punch, but you can hear the shot. So it's a 50-50 fight. What does everyone else think?
Yeah, BD, that's the thing with the what's it called? What's the tall guy's name again? Sorry.
Fundora,
Sebastian Fundora. That's the thing. He's tall. He learned how to box probably the way he does when he was smaller, but then he stretched out, he got bigger, and he kept that style. Like they kept saying about Julio Cesar Chavez, oh, he adopted the father's style. He boxed like his father because that's the way he developed, but then later he got bigger. Yeah, okay. How is that going to play out? Like at the higher level where the competition is tough, and then you're that tall, but then you throw a punch and the other guy can punch in between your shots because you're that long, man. And geometry and science will tell you if you're that long and you're fighting on the inside, the other guy's going to get his openings too. So that's the big question with that style that yet to me, that answer hasn't been given. Because how many fights has this guy had on the world stage? Yeah, he's had quite a few, but he's not that proven yet. So the Sebastian Fundora still, in my eyes, we still have to see him because he kind of got found out in the last fight against, I believe, Sergio Garcia. So it remains to be seen to me. And I know Lubin, he's kind of chinny, but he's also in the same terms, but he's kind of proven. He's kind of proven in the sense that I know he can bring it. Now, can Sebastian Fundora deal with that? If Lubin can handle the power, it's going to go into like the middle rounds. And how is that fight going to play out? Yeah, it's 50-50 as it can to me, for me.
Exactly. And for a lot of people, it's Fundora late, Lubinson early. If he can bank those early rounds, Lubin with his speed advantage and then make it to the 12th round, he could bank those early rounds and get a decision. But Fundora is going to try to pressure him. I didn't pay too much attention to the Garcia fight. I remember it was on the undercard of the Tank Davis Isaac Cruz fight, and I kind of lost interest halfway through. I started doing other stuff because it was kind of sloppy. It got sloppy in the middle rounds. But a lot of people feel that Garcia should have won that fight, that he should have gotten the decision. So it's going to be interesting to see. Speaking of Garcia, he's going to be fighting on the undercard, taking on Tony Harrison. That fight looks good on paper, but then you realize that Tony Harrison has only fought once since the Charlo loss, and he didn't look all that great in his last fight. So might not be all that great when you look. Yeah.
BD, that's the style where it kind of goes against the taller guy. If the fight was a little sloppy, it's because it's like the giant. The giant is missing. The giant is throwing big shots and he's wailing away. And when he misses, it looks more pronounced in your screen because he's so big. He misses. Then you got the spaces in between where the smaller, peskier guy is landing. So, man, yeah, that's the thing. That Fundora, when he's off, it's going to be really telling in the screen. You're going to be able to know. And if he's off and he's missing and the other guy's landing, he looked frustrated, man. He was Sebastian Fundora. Right before the fight that he fought Garcia. Mm-hmm. But when you were watching that fight, you saw, man, hold on, pump your brakes, man. We're seeing this guy a little something. He's getting exposed a little bit against the Spaniard. So
Yeah.
it's still the book is still open out on the book is still open out on what's his name?
Fundora.
Fundora.
Hey, just call him El Infierno. Just call him El Infierno, and then we'll leave it at that. By the way, I'm just gonna come out and say it, man. Fundora is a freak. I mean, you can't be that tall and that lanky, and he looks like an extraterrestrial. Something out of the movie Signs with Mel Gibson. He looks breakable, and yet he's a very tough guy. So it's every time I see him in the ring, and somebody else mentioned that in the chat room too. It just looks like we're peering into another universe, some sort of parallel dimension where this type of stuff is possible, and it is possible because it's happening right here, right now. So I don't know, man. If he
One
makes
of the
it,
reasons,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
One of the reasons why is you look at Arguello, who was 5'11", almost 6 foot, and fighting at featherweight. His muscle density and the way he was defined still looked like a strong person, even though he was thin. Fundora doesn't have that same kind of muscular definition. Jimmy knows much more about this than I do. I'm sure he can agree that the muscle separation and he knows the scientific terms better than I do, but the way the muscles appear on Fundora, he just, like you said, he looks like skin and bones with like a tall, lanky Skeletor that can still punch and is kind of rough. Whereas a tall featherweight like Arguello, he had biceps, he had a defined chest, he had a six pack. And so what you're seeing in front of you, your eyes are the one that tell you the test of one that looks like a science fiction movie, like you said, in Fundora, and another anomaly like Tommy Hearns or like Alexis Arguello at featherweight. But because you can see that muscular definition, you can see the separation, they look like an athlete. It doesn't look as freaky.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, man. And let me tell you, I forget, it was in the mid-2000s, I believe. I was watching some British boxing show, and they were showing a Arab guy who was at 130, 135, I think, and he was like Fundora, very, very tall for his weight class and freaky looking because he was so thin. But we've never seen, he wasn't a world-class guy. I don't even remember his name. This Fundora guy is possibly the first guy this tall, this freaky looking, that will actually possibly become a world-class fighter. But again, he has to get past Lubin. And you know what, man? This division of 154, it's entertaining because anybody can beat anybody on any given night. I mean, I know Charlo and Castaño are at the top, but everyone else has sort of, like Tony Harrison, he's got a bunch of losses and by stoppage. Even Charlo has a loss. So does Lubin and who else am I missing here? Hold on, let me check.
Like a revolving door. Everybody.
J-Rock, Hurd, they all have losses.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Tim Zoo's the only recent entry. Fundora and Tim Zoo seem to be the fresh blood. Lara, but they still have Lara
Lara's
here.
at
But I think
160 now, though.
That's what I was going to say. So I don't understand why they keep him here. Oh, then you got Madrimov, who's going to be rematching. Apparently, he's going to be rematching Soro from that controversial fight they had last December. So I'm going to tell you, it's an entertaining division. Very entertaining. But there just doesn't seem to be a top dog yet.
My theory is that in that division, from welter to 54, you got guys that are slightly taller with longer limbs, and the power starts changing just ever so slightly. That if you were at welter before, but then you're at 54, whoops, man, the punches are coming, a little bit of a different speed. And if you're not used to that, you're gonna fall on your ass. That's why shit happens differently because it's a change. It's a crossover between small guys and big guys. And you know what? One thing about Sebastian Fundora, he needs glasses. The guy wears like Coke bottles for glasses. So he said it before, I can't see that well, but boxing comes naturally to me. The thing when you start getting hit and the guy's landing on you and you get shooken up, needing those are like thick of a glasses when you don't have them in a fight could certainly play against you. When you're like Sergio Garcia, you're landing on Fundora that often, and you can't read the space between you and me or him and you. So that's one thing to consider. Sebastian Fundora wears glasses. He got tattooed in his last fight with punches that he didn't see coming. He did look sloppy. He couldn't quite gauge the range. So that's one thing. And as far as Fundora, fighters, whether he looks invincible or not, yeah, he's a tough guy. But fighters haven't got from like to gauging the distance where they can land a punch that like a Golovkin type punch where you punch through. They haven't been able to do that because gauging the distance against a guy that tall, where you can land your shot from 2 feet away as opposed to like 3 feet away, you're not getting in that distance to land your punch. And I think that's one thing that we still have to see somebody land and punch through the target against such a tall guy where they can get in close to him and comfortably enough to do that, where they can gauge the range. And Sergio Garcia was pesky, but he wasn't a power puncher. We got to see Lubin. He does it harder. If he can gauge the distance and get 2 feet in proximity to him instead of 3, where he can gauge the distance better because he's that tall, but he can get on the inside and turn over a shot, man, we'll see how tough Fundora really is, because that still this still remains to be seen in my eyes. Actually, I'm going with Lubin, man. I'm going with Lubin in this fight.
Whoa.
I'm going to go with Fedora just because of that first round knockout still looms in my head that Lubin suffered at the hands of Charlo. And if I may, for just a minute, since I missed the after the Zoo fight, and everyone knows that I've been high on Tim Zoo for a while, I'm going to make a statement that I want you to hear me all the way out before you read into it. Is Zoo at the point to where he can compete to the point to where he can beat Castano and Charlo right now based off of that last performance? 1, I've seen him look better than that performance. 2, even with that performance, I think he can still beat them, but with those flaws, they can beat him also. So he's not quite even with them, but he's strong enough to compete with them. If he doesn't fix these flaws, I don't blame anyone that says that I'm crazy and says that he will get beat. He's right, but he's tough enough. You have these certain fighters every once in a while in certain divisions that can just walk people down. And he's strong enough to do that, but in order to really win and be long-term champ, he's never going to be his dad, ever. Jimmy said that the other night. He's completely right. He's never going to be his dad. But to be a long reigning champ and not just win the title once and then lose it immediately, he does have flaws he has to fix. But he has the physical strength and the power to be able to walk some of these guys down right now, even with these flaws. So am I picking to be the long reign champ off of that performance? No. But even with those flaws, he's got enough goods to, with this limited division of dominant champions that this division hasn't had since Winky Wright, he can still compete with these guys.
Well, that's an interesting take right there on Tim Zoo, or someone's at some point is going to try to get under his skin and call him Timmy during one of the press conferences. Timmy Zoo. Good old Timmy Zoo. Hey, by the way, the phone lines are open, fellas, so let's take a couple of phone calls here, and then we'll get to the next fight from the weekend, which is going to be Ryan Garcia versus Emmanuel Tagoe. Let's go to the wild card first here to start everything off, and let's go to 111. Hold on a second. 111, you're on the air. 111, what's on your mind? Oh, shit, hold on. Sorry. I always forget because I mute this shit.
Sorry if you hear noise in the background. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, MMA champ.
Yeah, sorry if you hear noise in the background. I'm in Chinatown getting my favorite cat food right now. So,
Jesus.
Is what it is. But, GGG versus Murata, great fight. Don't sleep on Murata. Very powerful puncher. Has speed. But, he doesn't really have that much defense in the inside. But I think, we need to see how GGG is. He is older. He is 40 years old right now. So we don't know. He hasn't been in the ring for a while now.
All right, that's MMA champ falling out. I think his Chinese food was ready. Gonna be eating some chicken chow mein over there. Shout out to MMA champ. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 678. You're on the air. 678. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, panel? Hey, BDA, call it like it is, man. He's a fucking freak. He looks like something out of Lord of the Rings, the fedora guy.
He does indeed, man.
Hey, yeah, I watched him fight that Spanish guy. I know I'm not the best when it comes to any kind of technical analysis of the fight, but it was fucking terrible.
You're talking when he fought the guy from Mar de España in his last fight?
Yeah, the dirty Spaniard that was they were talking how big he was. He was like 75-0, wasn't he? They kept talking about his fucking 31-0 streak.
Yeah, he had a glossy looking winning streak, but he'd never fought anybody of note outside of Europe. But yeah, so you're not impressed with Fundora, is what you're saying?
I know when I see a good fight, an exciting fight, I get it. I get the feeling. But nah, he didn't. It was terrible, man. He's too lengthy. He's gonna get caught. He's awkward. He's gonna get hit hard.
Well, I guess it all depends. On Saturday, we're gonna see whether he's gonna sink or swim. That's why they're putting him in there against Lubin. Or anything else, man? Like what, the Golovkin fight or the Ryan Garcia fight? Like, what are your thoughts on anything else?
Yeah, man. I just want, look, I made a funny joke on the Discord, but really, I want to see this out of Garcia. I want to see him just take a loss so we know, it's the end of the road, either, it's a fork in the road. You got to pick a side. Are you going to go with YouTube or are you going to be a boxer? So I'm excited about that fight in that aspect.
Absolutely. Is he going to keep, because he's on the verge of creating an OnlyFans for old gay dudes. So it's make or break, man. Choose one, boxing or your porn career. And that's an excellent point right there, Soothsayer. Listen, we got to move on to another phone call, but anything else you want to say?
Yep.
Yeah.
Lastly, do you think you, Jimmy, Gonzalo, and the Chief would ever get in on the predictions just so we can kind of gauge where you guys are at compared to all of us?
That's an excellent question right there, man. The only reason I still haven't gotten into it is because it already started and my OCD wouldn't allow me to enter. But how about any of you other guys? Would you be willing to enter?
Same reason. Since it already got started, what's the point? If I would get in and start getting all these predictions correct, I would still not be in the front.
No,
still fall behind.
Just like on a special fight, that'd be kind of cool to see on certain occasions.
You know what? I'd be willing to do that.
Well, you could. DDA, you could always go back and listen to the tape.
I'm off DDA, but lastly, y'all dirty people need to stay clean. The BDA gospel is the only way to go. The Crimson Inquisition is coming for us all.
That's
right. The word, back by the word.
The BDA gospel.
That's
the Crimson Inquisition.
All right. It sounded like you're in a trance now or something. I'm expecting you to start speaking in tongues or something. But listen, shout out to Soothsayer and shout out to you for giving us a shout out. So shout outs all around, man. All right, that's fantastic. Jimmy, you were going to say something about the prediction league?
Well, I was going to say, you can always go back and look at the tape. I know the last fight that I got wrong was Teofimo. That was the Lomachenko. I think a lot of us got, but we've been all pretty much on all our predictions if you go back and listen.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but Jimmy back in the day in the neighborhood, they used to call him Humble Jimmy because he never used to brag or never used to bring up any of his conquests. He was always...
Hey, we did it right, kid.
We did it right. No, but listen, you and Gonzalo have always had some straight on Chief, I still don't know much about you because I think we're only going for 2 years. I mean, you're pretty good too. For the 2 years that you've been on, you're good. You're good. So yeah, you guys gotta
I'm better at history and film analysis than I am at predictions.
You know what it is? Sometimes it's with people that think too much, it prevents you from pulling the trigger on a I'm not saying Jimmy and Gonzalo don't think, but I'm just saying they're more cocksure of themselves. Cocksure.
They're more deliberate. They're more deliberate in their decisions, which helps them make a decision. Whereas I overanalyze the whole thing, and so sometimes I listen to them and I weigh my decisions. And like I said, I'm better at. I've always been a fan of the history and watching and studying. That doesn't always lead to direct conclusions. Mm-hmm. They're better at picks than I am.
Well, listen, we're not here to jerk. We're not here to jerk each other off. Let's go to one of the.
I am.
Okay, stop it, man. Let's go to.
We got fucking Gonzalo. I mean, Gonzalo and I picked Canelo by knockout over Kovalev. We picked, even Fury by stoppage in the second fight. We've been doing damn good.
I went back and I was watching the Golovkin Canelo fight. You know what I saw, man? Canelo's not nearly as strong as Golovkin was. Yeah, he was landing his punches. He was getting to GGG, but GGG was so much stronger than Canelo, and Canelo's a strong guy, dude. Fucking GGG's a strong motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, that's why when people say...
That's why those trips to Germany.
Oh, well, see, that's the thing, though. That strength and that jab and that chin from Golovkin, it's still going to give Canelo a lot of problems if they end up fighting each other for a third time. Shout out to Kenshiro for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, I just turned 42 today, and Triple G by KO TKO. I said it. Oh, so a guy in his 40s is going with the fellow, what do they call it? What do you call somebody who's in his 40s? 40narian? Is that what you call it? No, I'm making up words
good.
here. Yeah, sounds good to me. Why not? Let's go with that. And shout out to Black Chibi as well for his contribution with the Super Chat. Shout out to Black Chibi. He says, the Canelo, he should have said Canelo. The Canelo era is finally over. BDA approve of this. Or he says over. IBDA approve. What do you mean IBDA? Is he pretending to be me in that quote? Is that what he's saying? Or anyway, listen, Black Chibi thinks this is the end for Canelo. So shout out to Black Chibi for
I think he meant if you would have read it out how he had it written, you would have finished off by saying IBDA, agree with this.
Okay, yeah. He wants my endorsement. All right, let's go to, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 956. 956, you're on the air. 956, what's on your mind?
I was just saying about my prediction for Murata Triple G. I got Murata winning by knockout probably in the late rounds. Triple G, he was a good boxer, but his time is up because, you look how I thought Derevyanchenko beat Triple G, but besides the fact it was a close fight. I think it was split decision or majority decision that fight, so it was a close fight when he fought Derevyanchenko. And then you got guys like Charlo, where he just dominated Derevyanchenko, and I think Montana Love dominated. Adams, Carlos Adams, he dominated Derevyanchenko as well. So, I think Triple G has aged. He's not as good as he used to be. And I think Murata gonna knock him out. So the real question is, if Triple G does lose, which I think is gonna happen, who's Canelo gonna fight in September if he does beat Bivol?
That's an interesting question. If Golovkin loses, expect a lot of the usual suspects on the internet to start calling for Canelo to fight one of their guys, Benavidez, or actually more Jermall Charlo. I think that's the one they're going to start pushing for. But do you think Canelo beats Bivol? Because apparently that's what he also needs to get through him if he wants to get Golovkin as well. So
so it's a close fight. It's 50-50, man. I can see it going both ways. But I think Canelo will get the edge because if it's a close fight, it will go to Canelo. I think Canelo's defense is too good for Bivol to dominate him, because Bivol has to dominate him to win. I mean, we all know that, right? So if it's a close fight, it's gonna go to Canelo, man. Like most of these fights do. But Triple G Murata, bro. Yeah, Murata's gonna beat his ass, man. Because why is Charlo dominating guys Triple G had a tough time with? You know what I'm saying? So I think his time's up.
Well, we shall see, man. That's why they're fighting, and he is in his 40s, or he's going to be in his 40s. So a lot of questions right there. Anything else you want to say before we move on to another phone call?
No, I'm good. Peace
all right.
Y'all.
Thank you for your phone call, and take it easy out there. Call back next time. All right. Don't forget to hit the like I said, fellas. Hit the like-a-roo. I think it's MMA champ calling back on the wild card. 111, you're on the air. 111. All right, fantastic.
Yo, what's going on, BK? So, listen, you got Erickson Lubin, my fellow Haitian, fresh off the boat, fighting Saturday, can't wait. I think he's going to KO Slenderman, the Mexican Slenderman, I think he's going to KO him, and also with Ryan Garcia, Queen Ryan Garcia, the Pride Parade Day queen, shout out to him. But I think, Ryan Garcia's going to stop it mid. And, also, I got a diss track I want to say.
What do you mean a diss track? You made a diss track of Ryan Garcia?
Yeah. It's a freestyle, bro.
No kidding. You got it now, or are you going to play it in case he loses on Saturday?
Nah, I'm going to say it.
You're going to save it.
But now you face of queens like how? What am I make you soft? You man's got budget. If you run up, you won't get one too.
All right, that was barely discernible, but shout out to MMA champ who just that's the way he rolls. He just speaks his mind and then hangs up. So shout out to MMA champ for his freestyle there. I believe it was a freestyle, he said. All right, well, listen, let's get back here to... by the way, phone lines are open, fellas. If you want to call in, make sure to do so. Give us your opinion on the fights. What else?
BDA.
Yes.
Sorry. That's the thing about... Jesus. I'm thinking about something that Garcia possesses now that he's getting his man strength. That I kind of hate about him because I don't like the guy anymore. But, something that MMA was saying. That's true, man. Garcia is developing. He could probably develop into that type of paralyzing type of power. The guy can punch hard, man, because he got heavy hands. He got speed. If he turns his shots over kind of like how Golovkin used to, I know he changed trainers. Man, the guy could develop into a serious power puncher. Now, I know he don't got that type of chin, but he'll be like, when he's on, man, Garcia's going to be a good fighter, man. Hopefully his chin will hold up.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that's the other fight on the docket here this Saturday on the Zone. By the way, well, I'll get to that later. We got a big pet peeve on this fucking fight. But anyway, Ryan Garcia undefeated, making his comeback. Well, actually, he would probably tell you don't call it a comeback. Taking on Emmanuel Tagoe from Ghana. He has one loss on his record, Tagoe does. But that was, I believe, his first fight. And he hasn't really beaten any name you would recognize other than like Mason Menard. But let me tell you right off the bat, he's 5 feet 8 inches tall, so he's not that much shorter than Garcia. And he's pretty mobile, he's quick. He tends to be a bit of a slapper, but like I said, mobile. He's not an easy target. And coming off a year layoff from Ryan Garcia, changing trainers, and then on top of that, not being unsure of whether he wants to be a boxing star or a porn star, could be tricky, guys. Could end up being a tricky fight.
Really, that's a great point that you made. I don't think you were aware of it because you didn't intend to do that.
Of course I'm aware of it. Of course I'm aware of it. That's not the one, but yeah, go ahead.
Being slightly shorter or taller than your opponent, that's a good thing to have because that means you're that much longer just by a little bit. But when you're that much taller, like a Sebastian Fundora, they could be for you or can be greatly against you. But when you're slightly taller, that's a great thing to have because you're going to land your punches on your opponent by just a little bit, meaning that you're landing first, you're touching him first, you're getting to the target, and he can't get to you by a little bit. If you're able to gain the distance with your feet, you can be first, and if you're second, you're always going to be losing. When you have a little bit of length advantage over your opponent, and if you make it work for you, that could be greatly more advantageous than being taller by a mile, by 4, 5, 6 inches. That's how I want to say it, but go ahead.
Oh, and Mr. BDA, what Chief said earlier about Futurama, the reason why he's built like that is because, he's an ectomorph, his body type, whereas the other guys, like, are more mesomorph, what has rounded muscle bellies. But yeah, tall, skinny freak dudes. Futurama.
You talk about because we're talking about Garcia now. I think you're talking about Fundora.
Oh, I know. Fundora. Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying.
Futurama.
Yeah, because he's wicked close to that spectrum of the three types, and just long, stringy muscles. Doesn't mean the thing is they don't usually historically take punches that well. Ectomorphs. Mm-hmm. It's odd. It's usually the endomorphs, the big gallon neck offensive linemen build the other side of the physical spectrum that takes beatings better. Where Canelo's he's somewhere between mesomorph, which is the ideal. That's right in the middle. That's the ideal round muscle bellies, small joints. But he's got some more leaning towards endomorph. That's why he's got that gallon neck and big calves and shit. So that's why he can take a beating the way he takes. But usually ectomorphs tend to have skinny necks and they tend to get cracked out.
So but going back to the Garcia thing with Tagoe, I think 2 inches will favor 5'10" to 5'8" will favor Garcia because he's fast. So that means he's fast and he's got that 2-inch length to where he can land first before Tagoe. So I think he lands first and he hurts Tagoe, and he probably knocks him out like around the 8th round. That's all I was trying to correlate with that.
Well, that's
and on paper of length, you're absolutely right. But when you have certain boxing IQs, which we don't know much about Garcia's opponent, I can't even remember how to say his name. But and no disrespect to him. But my point is, Mikey Garcia, who's a higher boxing IQ than either one of these two guys, fought Robert Easter and didn't have a problem with reach at all because of his timing and his boxing IQ. So I don't see this gentleman being able to use his boxing IQ to offset the Ryan's advantages. But just because the guy's shorter doesn't mean he can't negate their size with timing.
Well, no, but Robert Easter was not the power puncher, and he was a taller guy. Now,
right?
Ryan Garcia is a taller guy. He's a taller guy, but he is a power puncher. So that changes. But we know that Tago, he's not like, we don't know a lot about him. But one thing that we can surmise or suspect that those African guys are tough. So the guy only lost his first fight, but other than that, he's never been knocked out. He hasn't lost again. So we're just gonna say he's tough. But when you're developing, you got that speed and you're getting stronger like a Ryan Garcia. That's what I suspect. He's got that paralyzing type of power. Now, will Joe Goosing bring it out of him, where he's turning his shots over and he's landed with that full authority of having the speed and the length to land those heavy hands on you? Man, he will stop anybody, regardless if you have a tough chin or not. And I could just speculate that maybe this will even happen to the African guy. If he's just, because those 2 inches in length from 5'8" to 5'10", if you land first, man, dude, that's an advantage. That's an advantage. It's a greater advantage than being 6 inches taller, because if you land first, but then you miss the second time around, or you miss your first time around, but then the guys always get into you before because you're that tall, like Sebastian Fundora, but then you're missing and hitting, and then the other guys getting there before you, and every other combination therefore on, back and forth. No, but when you're that 2 inches and you got speed, and the fight is close, and dude, and give and take, no, you're gonna edge out your opponent, but you're gonna be landing, and if you're landing first, the other guy's always landing second. And I think he knocks out the goal, whether he's tough or not. I know it sounded like a soup salad, but I'm playing it out in my mind, dude. I don't know who this African kid is, but Garcia's good, man.
I gotta correct you. He's Ghanaian. I thought he was from South Africa too in the beginning, but he's Ghanaian. But everything you're saying makes sense, Gonzalo. And I'll tell you one thing: when Garcia fought Campbell, they fucking what's his name? Reynoso had him fighting aggressively, trying to walk the southpaw down, and it made sense because, as we saw, if Garcia stayed on the outside, he was going to get picked apart. In this instance, I tell you, I think he would be better served to make Tagoe come to him, because Tagoe is the type of guy that fights from the outside, and he kind of gets sloppy coming in or trying to come in. So I just real quick, I think Garcia's quick counter shots could potentially cause havoc for a wide open Tagoe.
Yeah, hey BD, I was gonna say when you said South African, I was gonna say, they're all the same. That would have been fucked up. I would have said that. I didn't mean to, because it's like a Mexican, if you're Ecuadorian, Guatemalan. If I would have said, they're all the same. As human beings, we could be a little disregarding sometimes. Like, glad I
sure. Why not?
But what I was going to say about Garcia, the problem with Garcia, if someone was to try to change him, if you try to change his mechanics even a little, you're going to take, to try to add power to his punches, say to like, all right, turn over your fists. He's doing that pretty good, but, bend more your waist and snap more on it. If he changes the mechanics, because how he's learned to do it is how he's learned to do it. It's how he's learned to get that crisp. And if a lot of his power is generated from his speed, it's the timing. Like that shot he took that dude out in the second round, whatever that fight was, that was like fight. He didn't see it. You know what I mean? Because it was so fast. And the punch you don't see takes you out a lot quicker. You're not bracing for it. So again, a lot of his power is generated. It's masked behind speed and timing. Let's see if he has the timing, world-class timing. That's a whole different animal. But his power is generated from speed. So if somebody messed with his form and try to, work on his mechanics to try to roll at the waist, I think that could actually mess with that.
Interesting, because like Fundora, he's a tall guy for his weight class. So
that's where he's generating the power from his height.
Right.
Like Gonzalo says, because of his height, he doesn't have to, like a small dude's going to have to definitely turn at the waist more. You can get away with a little bit more of the arm punch when your arm is fucking freakily long.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that, Jimmy? Ryan Garcia?
Garcia. Yeah, Garcia.
No, I don't believe so, because he's a little upright. He's not getting his power from the waist. He's just getting his power from the speed and the heavy hands.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. He's getting it just from his speed and his hand speed. Yeah. He's hiding it. He's not getting it from turning over and like bending at the waist. And I was saying, if somebody try to change that, they might mess with his actual power. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's learned to throw his punches that way, although he needs to get his head off that swivel. I mean, he needs
I thought you said I'm a right, Spider.
Don't get me wrong. It's like Tim Tszyu. Dude, being upright, just like being flat-footed, being upright has its advantages. They wouldn't teach that to you if it didn't. Being upright makes you land your punches straighter in a straight line, where you can get from here. I can zip my punch from 0 to 60 in a straight line from my shoulder to the target, where I can line you up and I can throw a straight shot down the middle. Being upright is an advantage, just like being flat-footed, when you can put all your weight on the canvas, and you can generate that force from the tip of from the bottom, the sole of your foot to your punch, right through your shoulder. It's got its advantages. A lot of the times, but yeah, that keeps him glued a little, like on the center line, to where he's there to be countered, because you can't move your head when the other fighter's trying to get his get back. You might land your shot where I'm throwing it down the middle, and I can lace you with a hard shot, but I'm there for the counter. That's what Garcia's problem. He keeps his head on the line. Yeah, but being like that also has its advantages. You know, where you're kind of like squared up, and what was I saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That he's just a naturally heavy-handed guy. We can get into the minutiae of whether it's coming from the torso, from the feet, the legs. At the end of the day, the guy hits hard. And I want to get into that a little bit more later. But first, I got two things to do. Phone call and a super chat here. Let's get to the super chat first. Shout out to Boxing Expert. A little Spanish message here. And he says, I need to make it public. Ebony Bridges is taken by me. I got to apologize to everybody out there. All the broken hearts that you must have heard, that I'm causing by making you hear this. But yeah, she's taken. So that's Boxing Expert. He says he's hitting that on the regular, and you can have her. Maybe if he gets tired of her at one point, maybe he'll throw the scraps at the rest of us. But for the moment, Boxing Expert has already dominated and conquered Ebony Bridges. All right, so sorry, fellas, that's the way it is. And shout out to Boxing Expert for his contribution.
Hit that good.
Hit that good. Why not, man?
I think where Ryan Garcia is gonna, when you where you gain your experience the most is when you're inside of the ring, regardless of what people are going to tell you. Oh, the coach taught him that. When he discovers that, I know he lands quick. He likes to throw a lot of punches, pop, pop, pop. But when he learns inside the ring that when he really turns over his shots, now that he's getting into his man strength, and he lands, he's going to tell himself, hey, man, that shot that I landed, and he puts a guy out, that's where he's going to learn. Learning, yeah, you do it in the gym, but when you put it together and you land it and you get confirmation in the ring, that's going to tell you, I got to do this more. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think Garcia's going to be at.
Gonzalo, let me ask you, do you think with somebody like him, who obviously he seems to be a little emotionally weak, do you think that it would almost be detrimental for him to go out and like spark his next couple opponents out in the first and second rounds? Because I think then it would almost be impossible to work with the kid. You know what I mean? Sometimes that works in your favor against your fighter, because it just, they get into that. All I have to do is just spark them.
I keep thinking about Golovkin. Golovkin changed trainers. He used to turn over his punches well, but now that he's at a later stage in his boxing advanced stage and in his boxing career, the other guy, he wants him to like just land, throw punches and stay on the move. What's that guy? The new trainer,
Goosen.
No,
for Jonathan Banks. Yeah, Jonathan Banks.
Oh, I thought you were talking
about but now on the other side of the spectrum, you got a young Ryan Garcia that kind of he's doing what Ryan Garcia now. What Ryan Garcia is doing now, he's throwing a lot of punches and with speed, and he's just tapping his opponent. That's what Jonathan Banks wants to get Golovkin to do. But Golovkin, what he used to do before with Abel Sanchez, he used to turn over his punches. Now, when Garcia realizes that turning over your punches, instead of using that speed that he utilizes in these TikTok videos and the YouTube videos, that's what he's going to discover in the ring shortly. That it's not just about being cute. If you turn over your punches with that type of speed that you got and the heavy hands that you possess, you're going to be able to hurt your opponents. And I think with the learning curve for Garcia is going to be when he discovers that inside of the ring, regardless of who teaches you that. That's all I'm saying. That's where Garcia's going to learn that if I possess these heavy hands and I got that speed, it's not about just being cute and doing what Jonathan Banks wants Golovkin to do on the other side of the spectrum. No. Well, you know how he's going to discover that?
How is
when
that?
When he's developing into his man strength in real time, like right now in these fights.
Yeah, I think he's already looking strong. And in fact, this fight's going to be taking place in a catchweight. More on that later on. But first, let me get to a phone call here, and we'll finalize on Garcia.
Sorry, BDA, for being all over the place. And
that's all right,
so much airtime.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. 301, you're on the air. 301.
What do you mean, sorry, BDA? You should be apologizing to me. You said I was next after the super chat. That was 15 minutes ago, kid. You're saying, you got to turn the punch in 4.2 milliseconds before the turn of the hit. Jesus Christ. There's a stiff learning curve if I've ever heard one.
That's right.
Oh, geez. Anyway, how you fellas doing? Hi, Rich Andre Ward. Shout out to the rest of you. Jimmy, how's it going, kid?
Hope you're doing well over there in merry old Ireland, and hope you're not on the sauce right now. Kind of sounds a little bit like you are, but what's on your mind, fella?
I'm temporarily free of the sauce. It's only been a few hours before I had a drink, and I'm all clear in the head now. I want to call in and talk about Ryan Garcia from an angle that you haven't considered. I hear rumors that he's compromised the same way as Earl Spence, you know. I hear he's got the old rectum tear, eh?
Oh, come on,
I hear it's from the therapy he's been receiving for his mental health problems, you know, the therapy where they tear your rectum with their penis, you know, the therapy.
What type of therapy is that?
From the gay for pay from the gay for pay he's been doing on his OnlyFans.
Let me ask you something, because I've heard of this.
That's an angle you haven't considered.
Well, Irish Andrew Ward, let me ask you this. I've heard of this. How much do you think, if this is true, because again, we don't know, how much do you think he charges per session?
For that sweet little ass, I would go for $200-300 a 30-minute interval, depending on how long you can take it for. Really, I'm not sure what kind of earnings or kind of tax deductions you have for that kind of overhead, but roughly in that territory.
So you think there's a lot of overhead going on, a lot of overhead action in those sessions, or
perhaps overhead, underhead, all kinds of head.
That's right.
I hear he's skilled with it, as Gonzalo was saying. He can use all kinds of angles, lick kicks, turning, all kinds of things.
Yeah, well, listen, this phone call is getting very disturbing. I've heard telling of this type of activity, and De La Hoya probably has something to do with this, right?
Oh, yeah, I did coke with him the last night. He was telling me all about it.
Oh, jeez, Luis.
Wasn't the last time he was doing a stream, wasn't Garcia, and it was $25 minimum to get have your thing read? It was a minimum of $25 to read your comment.
Yeah, that was he was gonna toss your comment. That's what he was gonna do. All right, well, listen, caller, we have to move on.
Comment. I see.
Yeah.
All right.
We got to. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, that was it. I just feel like that was an underappreciated aspect of this upcoming pugilistic enterprise. I hope you fellas have a nice day there.
And by the way, I think
it's a long live Ryan Garcia. No, we got the Garcia sexuals coming out. No.
Well, listen. I mean, I think now we know why Garcia has a strong neck. He does a lot of strength neck exercises, a lot of movement there with the neck and the head.
Mind you, these guys are crazy. It's like the little Japanese guys that come out of Japan with what's the Japanese name? Inoue, no. They come out of the woodwork, no. Hey, Ryan Garcia fighting.
All right, well, listen, Irish Andrew Ward, thank you for your call. We'll catch you on the next one, all right, man? Stay busy out there.
My pleasure. Thank you, sir. Have a nice one.
All right, go chase a rainbow. In more ways than one, just like Ryan Garcia. Shout out to Irish Andrew Ward. Don't forget to, fellas, hit the like. Really appreciate that. Listen, with the Ryan Garcia
remember video when Inoue fought like this little generation of like fighters from this certain sector of like I don't know, They just came out and they were like, "Oh man, yeah, fucking Inoue. You're not talking about Inoue." Or,
Well, it's just because
everybody's got their certain type of fans. No, they're all different.
I remember that it was before the Donaire fight, and we were just saying, look, we don't know if he makes it past Donaire, blah blah blah. And these guys were like, "Nah, you fucking idiots!" And look, listen, we admitted after the fight, he beat Donaire not only with the punching power but with skill, and we said, "Yep, he's a real fighter." He got hurt in there, he got tested, and he overcame it. So shout out to Inoue. But
I think the Ryan Garcia fans, they can be like Joshua fans. They're like two of the same.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, because he's a mainstream star, so he's going to attract a lot of people that are new to the sport and don't quite understand.
And they're a little on the gay side. I know they're like pretty boys.
Well, I didn't say that, but
no, that's right. A lot of people on the panel did pick Donaire to beat Inoue, huh? Back when they first went.
I don't remember the picks, but we weren't willing to anoint Inoue as one of the top 3 pound for pound guys just quite yet.
Because PDA, I discovered the panel yet. The world's a big place, man. You have people that are from all types of from all types of like sizes and shapes or like colors. The world is a big place, and you got a lot of people that are so different that when it comes to boxing, certain people just might come out of the woodwork for a certain fighter that were never involved in boxing. All of a sudden, you get like an influx of like views and like, who are these people? They're not boxing fans, but they're fans of this guy that fits like their generation, like or their kind of style. That's weird.
He represents the concept of the ancient Greek concept of kairos. Kairos. There's always a time and a place for a man, and that's what Ryan Garcia brings. He represents kairos. Now, listen, fellas. Speaking of people from all over the world, you know what time it is. It's time for emails, or as I like to call them, communiques. Communiques. Fellas, everyone, people from all over the world write to us. The phone email address is in the About Us page. I should really copy-paste it, but I'm too lazy to do that. So just go to the About Us page and you'll see the email address in which you can contact us on. And man, there's way too many emails. I don't know how many we can read. I try to always squeeze in as many as possible. But we do celebrate our viewership here by reading emails. So let's get to the communiques. Communiques. Yeah. There's a whole movement out there. The BDA boxing sphere of influence, as I like to call it. All right. Let's get down to it. You guys ready for a couple of emails, a couple of communiques?
Sure, let's do it.
Fire away.
All right, don't forget to check out the screen so you can really get a feel of the email, because there's pictures. The people send their pictures from their profiles. What the fuck was that? Somebody started a lawnmower?
Oh, sorry. No, I was just turning on the machine in the basement to see if it was plugged in. Sorry, I thought I was on mute.
Is it the new sex machine, the one that?
Oh no! If it was a sex machine, this thing would rip your fucking balls off.
By the way, that used to be my nickname back in the day. All right, let's go to this is from Roger from Toronto, Canada. Yeah, Toronto, eh? And he says, "Great show, guys. What's the weight ceiling for Tank Davis? He beat Barrios at super lightweight, but can he do that to Ramirez, Prograis, Cepeda, and Russell?" Good question. What do you guys think is his weight ceiling? Do you think the box stops at 135, 140? Or?
135. He's too short. Agreed. He doesn't have the arms, the length. He was able to take out Barrios because, that was Barrios. But I mean, he would those other top guys at 140. No, they'd do him in.
I think it's 140 under the right type of training, but he's regressing right before he gets to his peak. So right before he's his peak, and when the going gets tougher, and he can certainly develop into a tough fighter, he's regressing in the sense that he's getting on the back foot. He's not sitting down in his shots, and he's not fighting on the inside. He's getting away on the back foot. He's tapping and moving back. So if he was fighting the way he was fighting when he fought Pedraza, his ceiling would be 140, but he's getting away from that. So cannot fight like that with that style.
I take what Gonzalo is saying and I change it from style to opponent. Doesn't matter what style. It's the weight and the size of the division. Doesn't matter the rest of the physical attributes, because, like Jimmy said, short, doesn't carry the weight well. He's going to be slower. He's not going to be explosive there forever, especially in his late 20s. So, but
it's a style.
But the opponent is what is going to make it. If it's like, again, Barrios, if he fights Hunter Barrios is at that weight, it doesn't matter what his style looks like. He looks amazing. If he fights Russell, Antoine Russell, that ain't gonna happen. Doesn't matter what his style is.
By the way, Gonzalo, we're gonna keep talking about this fight later on because I want to get your thoughts on something.
Just one thing real quick. This is a style that one thing that age can never give back to you. When you're that type of fighter like Gervonta Davis, think of Mike Tyson. It's not like Golovkin at 40. It's the style. When you're that short, you can be successful when you're quick and putting your punches together on the inside. And he will never get that back because the years are passing by. And he's at that crucial stage where he's 26. He's not 22 like Mike Tyson was in his prime where he was putting those punches together with that length is short and compact. No, he's not going to get that back.
All right. Now, I want to get your thoughts on this fight because I want to keep covering this fight because it's so weird. It's so bizarre to me that the Davis Romero card. So, but before we do that, we got to get through these emails and shout out to the Can Man for his contribution to Super Chat. He says, Ryan is going to be eating Ghana pepper. Oh, I suspect that's not a good thing. I suspect that's going to be bad for Ryan Garcia. Shout out to the Can Man for his contribution to Super Chat. All right. So I hope that answers your question there, Tony. Roger from Toronto, Canada. Let's go now to Diablita 55 coming to us from Brooklyn, New York. A lot of New Yorkers. We got a big audience in New York. She says, love the show, guys. Huge boxing fangirl here. My boyfriend Tuco loves it more than I do, and he just got out of the pen. Can we get a shout out? Absolutely. Let's give her a shout out, guys. For her and Tuco, who just got out of the pen. Shout out to you guys. What a lovely couple those make. Really interesting to see.
Shout out, Tuco.
Tuco.
She's not that bad. She's decent looking. It's like that girl fell in from the picture that went viral on the internet. She's not that bad looking.
Yeah, she's got a little something going there with the cheetah tattoo there. So shout out to you two, lovebirds, and hopefully you.
But the guy in Spanish, he was a quítamelo.
Ahorita te lo quito, no te preocupes. Ahí te lo quito, no mames. Okay, let's go to
Alliance Society.
I'll take it away right now, Gonzalo. Shout out to, now we go to HF from San Francisco, and he says, so Haney's not a champion according to you. I guess next you're going to tell me my girlfriend's really a guy because she was born with a dick? Read her driver's license, idiot. It says female on it. Haney's a champ because he's got a belt and your channel sucks. Here's a photo of me shitting on my iPad while it plays one of your videos. Fuck you. Well, there you go.
And we love you too. Thank you for calling. Thank you for emailing in and being just as ignorant as everybody else that thinks that you can win a title outside of the ring. Congratulations.
Oh, Chief, come on. Let's not be too hasty with our lambasting here. Look, listen. This all started.
He stole that iPad on the fucking.
And to top it off, he looks Mexican. He's probably one of those guys that are saying, "Oh, well, you're Mexican." BDA, Gonzalo, you guys are Mexican. But you're not giving Canelo the full credit that he deserves. Yeah, fuck you guys.
All right, well, listen, this all started, for context, because I made a video. And, well, even before the video, we started saying Haney's not a champion. Kambosos is the lineal champion because it's not dependent on the belts. It's dependent on who you beat. And this whole unification thing, it's stupid to us. And I pissed off a lot of people with a recent video I did. I rekindled that fire. So, hey, listen, that's our point of view here with the titles. So if this guy doesn't like it, I mean, he can shit on his iPad all he wants, but it's not going to help. It's not going to change our point of view. All right? But shout out to HF anyway for writing in. This is from Timmy from San Francisco. Again, another LA. We get a big California audience writing in. And he says, so, Mr. BDA, when's it going down? When's what going down?
That guy before when you did the communicate was disturbing. I can't get over it. You remember when you used to say that the rich people shit on like rich girls, they pay them to do that, but this guy's shitting on an iPad. This is an inanimate object. Why didn't he do that?
Remember that? Huh?
What thrill do you get? You gotta be a crazy motherfucker to shit on an inanimate object. You're not paying this hot girl to take a shit on her like he used to mention before in the other. It's weird. I can't get past that.
That's how strongly he feels about us calling Devin Haney a mere contender as opposed to a champion.
That's not scary, man.
I've always wondered what's the difference if a girl's taking a shit on you, whether she's hot or not, right?
Oh, there's a big difference.
You know what I mean? There's a big difference. But when you hear people say that, Like, oh man, because that chick could
Wow.
be catching a beating.
But by the way, I didn't really understand Timmy's comment, so we're just going to skip past that one because that one's more disturbing than the iPad one. Let's go to Leonardo DiCaprio from Hollywood, California. He says, "What's up, Mr. BDA? I read that email from that queer-looking Tom Cruise impersonator the other day, and I've got a similar problem dealing with the Leonardo DiCaprio estate. Apparently, they frown upon me going around Springfield, Missouri, claiming to be Leonardo and banging hookers on credit. Now I've got Leo Fago's lawyers and a bunch of mobsters after me. Hook me up with your lawyer, Raphael Shapiro, Mr. BDA. You fucking dirty Oh, come on. He's calling me a spick. LOL, he says. Well, first of all, like I told that Tom Cruise impersonator, Raphael Shapiro works with a select group of clients. He's not really open to widening that circle right now. But like I said, if you call his office, he will refer you to a trusted colleague. All right? So make sure you go ahead and do that. Right now, Raphael Shapiro...
That's awesome.
What's that?
That's also a crazy looking motherfucker, baby. That's a cross between. That's also a cross between Leonardo DiCaprio and Luca Magnotta, no?
Hey, Gonzalo, you're bringing out all the references today, man. Fucking Rocco Magnotta.
He's a cross. He's a hybrid between Leonardo DiCaprio and Luca Magnotta.
Yeah, are you saying
Killer
these
Cats
guys?
on Netflix.
Are you saying these guys tasted human flesh before? Is that what you're getting at?
Well, that's what the communique says, something like that along those lines.
Well, listen, let's not base everything we know of these people off of that communique itself. So shout out to Leotardo for his contribution there. Let's go to Ted Horseman. He didn't give an address, but he says, I gotta tell you, that prediction league sure is a godsend. Since I started poaching from the top picks, my gambling has never been better. It now rivals my horse racing. To thank you, I'll give you a little trick to keep your horses in line. Horses have great memories, so if they lose, just eat a shitload of garlic and onions and don't shower for a whole day. Then, grab them by their stupid necks like I'm doing here and hold them there for a good minute. Make sure they catch a good whiff of what you've got in them armpits. After that... Hold on. What was that? What?
Is that El Dude, BDA? Is that El Dude?
No, he doesn't look anything like El Dude, man. And maybe a little Mexican, though. He's a tan-looking fella. And he says, after that, the horses will do their best to avoid losing and meeting Mr. Stinky again. Thanks again, guys. Well, shout out to you, Ted Horseman. And that just reminds me, people, join the Prediction League. It's up and running over at the BDA Discord. You can still join in, even if it's already started. And man, there's a lot of good people out there, man. There's a lot of people getting the picks right. Even the people in the middle and in the lower portions, they're getting a lot of picks right, too. It's a nice little competition there. So shout out to...
It's a happy time to be in boxing. No, it's a good sign that things are going to pick up.
Hey, maybe 2021 will be better than 2020. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. Let's go to this is from, what's it, SR? I don't really get the name here, SR something. And he says, for those of you that have roommates, don't you hate it when your favorite fighter comes on the tube only to have your ugly roommate hog the TV to watch some lame sport? Well, I found a solution. Diapers. They're awkward to look at and even more awkward to smell. Wear one of these and you'll have the TV and any other space all to yourselves. No need to thank me.
Yeah. BDA.
Mm-hmm.
To the last caller that where you just said that a lot of people are getting the predictions right. Their information is out there. It's not like back in the 90s or the 2000s where the coaches used to just tell you, throw punches, let your hands go. Now, we're sharing the information that we know, you, me, Jamie, everybody. And the people that are just listening and waiting for you to make a mistake and what you say, I know more boxing than you. Boxing is evolving, dude. You can train your kids. You can share the information. People are picking up that, dude, we're calling these guys out and we can learn the sport together because the information is out there that boxing is, dude, there's going to be great fighters that are going to come in the future, man.
You're absolutely
people
right.
know what they need to do now because the information is, when I keep saying the information is out there, you can put it together where you can teach anybody how to box, the ABCs, but now everything's, you can learn more.
You're absolutely right, Gonzalo. You're absolutely right, man. It's a brave new world out there. And I got to tell you, this is one of the reasons why I like the internet, too, because we get emails like this from all over the world and good advice like this guy's giving us here. Wearing diapers, I never thought of that one. So, hey, you never know. Try it out one day if you have a roommate and he keeps hogging. By the way, that reminds me, I was listening to Thunderdome I was on that episode, and we were talking about Max Kellerman and his brother Sam Kellerman, and wouldn't you know it, we were talking about how Sam Kellerman met his untimely death at the hands of Butler, that former boxer. Apparently, what happened was he invited Butler to stay over at his house because Butler was on some hard times. And he was doing what this guy said. He was hogging the television. Sam Kellerman was a sports writer, and he would have to watch certain events on the TV, and Butler would just go like, "Hey, watch it somewhere else." He was hogging the television.
Well, why are you going to invite a guy over to your house if you're not going to let him watch TV? Of course, the guy got pissed off.
Exactly, man.
He was probably being a little prick, man.
Hey,
you
listen,
can't have that little man.
If Sam Kellerman would have worn a diaper, perhaps things would have turned out much, much more differently. You never know.
Dude, if you're gonna invite somebody over to your house to watch the TV, share the fucking TV.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree.
Especially if that dude's bigger than you and he's fucking crazy. You gotta share the TV with the guy.
Yeah, if it's a crazy black dude.
Maybe the fighter shouldn't have fucking snorted all his money and had his own apartment, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're just saying.
That's true. That's true, Jamie. Absolutely. I mean, yeah.
All right, and finally, this email comes to us from Chicago, Illinois, and he says, Brad Matford says, "Hey guys, what's harder, watching Demetrius Andrade fight or my dick when I spread my sister's ass cheeks?" Come on, you know what? Fuck this. All right, that was completely unnecessary right there. But
to Jimmy, BDA, but to Jimmy, when you have something, you kind of want to hang out with people that are just like you. You don't want to have people that have less than you because then they're always going to envy you. That's true, man. Like I'm a veteran. Like I'm 100%. I want to hang out.
I was just busting stones. I thought we're just joking around with him. No, you're 100% right with what you're saying.
But you too, you're 100% right. But that just happened because of what I just mentioned. But what you said is true, though.
It's a sad tale when people can't come together and share the TV. But you know what? Like I said, there's always a compromise, and it takes a little bit of oil to grease.
I bet you that's just.
What?
That was an excuse. I bet you probably robbed him. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I guarantee you a robbery was involved, and he just claimed it was over the TV. So because if it's a robbery, it's a special circumstance. You can get a felony 1 for that, you know what I mean, or even death penalty, depending on the state.
Well, listen, Butler he was a highly unhinged man. I think he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, so it would surprise me if he just snapped.
BDA, I'm in the Philippines. If my neighbor has a little bit less than I do, and I keep inviting him to my house, and I just have a little bit more than he has, he's gonna get mad at me. You always kind of want to hang out with the people that have like the same or equal to you.
Exactly.
Because it's all about the Joneses. You want to keep up with the next guy. But if that guy has a little bit more, you're always gonna piss off at the world. And if you have a little bit of a personal problem already, that's gonna trigger your ass. Right or wrong, BDA.
Shout out to OG Boogie for his contribution with the super chat. He says, "I don't want to be censored, but the guy that said his girl is a man, she probably is, and he looks constipated. He needs a proctologist." Wait, which guy is he talking about? The guy that said his girl is a man. I think he was talking about the emails. No. Yeah, nobody said that his girl. It was a girl and a guy. But anyway, listen. Shout out to G Boogie and.
There was a sister fucker and Eleni Bridges, I think.
Oh, okay, Ebony. Yeah. Well, listen. Shout out to everybody that wrote into the emails, and we'll be reading your emails on the next episode as well. So shout out to you guys. We're bringing the community together. What else was I gonna say, man? Oh, the iPad guy. Yeah. The iPad guy who said that his girlfriend is a trans person or whatever they call it. So I get what G Boogie's saying now. And yes, I did make a mistake too. I said 2021. Well, 2021 already came and went. I was talking about 2022. It looks like it's going to be a better year than 2021. But hey.
Yeah, and BD, I think Golovkin turns 40 the day before he steps into the squared circle against Murata.
Yeah.
One day before. So he'll be 40 in one day. Does it really make a difference? I don't know.
Well, listen, I wanted to get back to the shout out to everybody that don't forget to hit the like button. Hit the like. I wanted to go back to the man because we got Gervonta Davis to talk about and Garcia. I just wanted to say something about Garcia's power because fucking Husein's saying all the right things that we expect from a new trainer. He's saying that he's never felt power like the one he's feeling from Garcia when he holds the mitts. He's a hard worker. He's this and that. He's breaking jaws in the sparring. So the guy can crack. That's one thing. That's for sure.
BDA, and I think real quick that that the interview that was it Joe Goosen gave. Sorry, Biddy. De La Hoya gave in Un Round Mas with Eric Morales. He said, okay, yeah, it's okay that he changed to Goosen because Ryan Garcia is landing that jab where he's sitting down on the jab. And this is what De La Hoya, his manager, identified, or his promoter. When he's throwing the jab, he's stretching it out, and he's landing a pronunciation in the end. He's stretching it out and sticking it out to where when it's fully stretched, it's landing with a thud. So bam, 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 like the.
Okay, wait a minute, Gonzalo. You're talking about stretching it, taking it out, stretching it out, and bam, bam, bam. Are you still talking about boxing or something else?
Full extension. When you get a jab and you fully extend it, like the ram. This is what I'm talking about. And I keep going to Golovkin and Ryan Garcia. The ramrod jab. The ramrod when it sticks out and in the end. No, yeah, I know it sounds kind of funny. You guys are telling me all day, but
dude, you're not doing this on purpose. You're definitely doing this on purpose.
Yeah, he's doing it on purpose. True,
this is too good, dude. You keep going like, you know. Then he goes to the ramrod,
the ram ranch jab. Yeah,
this is the reason when you got speed and you can. When you can stick it out and when it stretches out and it fucking lands and it touches down at the very end with that much speed, it lands that much harder. It's like a ramrod. Boom, 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 boom. It's the piston back and forth. But when you're throwing that piston hard and it's just like a higher caliber, that's what De La Hoya said in Un Round Mas with Eric Morales. He's throwing the jab where he's meaning it to land. And when Joe Goose is holding out the pad and is touching the pad, he's really pronouncing the jab. Bam! Bam! He's not throwing it out there just to land, to get off me, just to touch. He's landing it with authority to mark the division between you and me. To say, to keep you off me, but to really hold you back. When I land a shot that's trying to hold you back, and I really stick it out there and I throw it fast, but I stretch it out, and boom! When it's touching you, that's really marking a perimeter. You cannot pass this line. That's the type of jab Ryan Garcia is throwing right now. You cannot pass this line because if you pass this line, my fist is gonna touch your face like concrete. It's gonna hurt you because he's throwing it that hard, right? He's marking his boundary with the jab.
Nigga, what
That's what I'm trying to say, BD.
Nigga, what the fuck?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Look, listen, he's the explosiveness is there. It's real, man, and he just has to translate
but it's where
you
landed. It's where you landed at the edge of your wheelhouse.
I agree.
If you can land your explosiveness with the edge of your wheelhouse, where you're marking because your punch snaps and it stops snapping at a certain point, right, BD?
Absolutely.
So at the point where at the radius of the end of your fist, where the punch starts snapping, that's where it's gonna crash land with a lot of power.
Yeah. So it's all about the distance, man. It's perfect. You gotta find the sweet spot.
That's the boundary between you and me that I'm trying to establish to keep you outside, right?
Yes, indeed. Man, let me get to a phone call here.
That's not a cute type of jab. That's the type of jab that will have you thinking if you're going to come in or not. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, let me get to a phone call because this person's been waiting for a while. I want to get to... Okay, 678, you're on the air. 678, what's on your mind?
Fuck, I was about to hang up on you assholes. This is Luca Magnotta. Gonzalo, you're a fucking asshole.
Hey, we got Luca Magnotta calling us from the Toronto Penitentiary or whatever the fuck he's in. He's not too pleased with you, Gonzalo. Go ahead, Luca. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, you better hide your fucking cats, because I'm going to fucking cut them up into pieces and then microwave them, you fucking asshole.
Oh. Hey, Gonzalo, do you have a cat or just a dog? Because I don't think he goes for dogs.
I have two dogs, but I have a cat that keeps creeping up on the fence, and Lobito goes crazy when he sees him. He lives at Garfield, too.
All right, so you better keep him close here, because Luca, the rock star Magnotta, says he's going after. Luca, what did Gonzalo say displeased you? What about his comments displeased you? Luca, you still there? No, he hung up. Yeah, I guess he ran out of minutes over at the penitentiary. It's not easy. It's not easy to make a phone call. Jimmy will tell you that. All right. Well, listen, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And we got Revolucion stopping by. It's been a fucking while. Revolucion, are you there?
Hello, Mr. BDA. How are you tonight?
It's good to hear from you, man. Hope you're doing fantastic as well, man. What's up, and what have you been up to?
Doing good. Preparing for a match I got coming up on Sunday. Got another match on April 30th. Trying to keep the schedule filled up. And enjoying myself, man. How about you guys? What's new with y'all?
We're doing fantastic here. We've taken a couple crazy phone calls and even crazier emails. I mean, but hey, listen, that's what we want.
Heard.
Man. We want people to call in.
Those communiques ain't no joke, bro. You get people from all over the place. You know, these are people that may not even be able to afford a modern cell phone. You know, they got to write in from the email from the library. A lot of these
That's
people,
right.
It looks like.
Listen, we're a veritable cornucopia here of people. But what's up, man? Yeah.
Hell yeah! So I got a little money down on a Triple G fight. So I'm trying to do my studying, trying to do my research. Hopefully, I made a good decision. Just straight fucking Golovkin, man. You know, I'm not gonna make a lot of money, but it's I got some of that free money from one of them online betting sites because in my state it's legal now. You know, you could do the online fucking gambling in Connecticut. So I got like 150 free bucks. But I got to use it for betting. I can't just cash it out. I got to put a bet down. So I put it on. It's a free fucking bet. So I put it on Triple G. So let's see. I'm a net maybe like $20.
Did the state give you that money to spend? Like, did the state give you a voucher to use the gambling facility?
No, it's all a phone, all the app on my phone.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. I was like, wow.
They just gave me a credit.
Hey, back to that, so that Golovkin thing, yeah, man. I mean, it's who's the favorite? First of all, it's gotta be Golovkin, right? With the bookies, or
it should be. It should be BDA.
Minus 600 is what I got.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. All right, so 6-1. So see, people are looking at something here. The one that I'm thinking, Tagoe could. I don't think he's gonna beat Garcia. But I think he's gonna give him problems, man. I think Garcia, if he's unfocused, which it appears he might be, he might encounter some trouble there against the mobile Tagoe. But I think if he cracks Tagoe, things could happen.
Oh, so Tagoe is mobile. I haven't done my homework. He's mobile, BD. Tagoe?
He's elusive. He's not easy to hit, man. He's got good upper body movement, slides off the ropes.
So we got those type of Africans like Simpiwin Onkai and those type of Africans that are skilled. Not all of them are just tough, no.
That's right. Now here's we're gonna move away from that fight because I wanted to ask Jimmy something here. Jimmy, I don't know if you've kept up with this, but Victor Conte came out a couple of days ago on Twitter, and he said, "Let me put it up here just so I don't misinterpret anything he said." But essentially, he's questioning the VADA testing for the upcoming Spence versus Ugas fight. So here's what he said. He says, I directly asked Errol Spence and Jordanis Ugas and TGB Promotions if they are doing VADA. I asked twice and no response. They may be doing VADA, so why the secrecy? Memo at Guru Science with Ugas. Okay, because Memo Heredia is training Ugas. So then he says, Memo is a well-known PED supplier and suspicious. In my opinion, boxing scribes are afraid to ask for clean boxing. So then Keith Idek replied on Twitter as well, afraid? This guy. Here on planet Earth, I have a copy of a later dated 2/17, meaning February 17, that states that Spence and Ugas are actively participating in VADA testing. This would have been at Boxing Scene Story only if they were not enrolled in testing regularly. So here's the question, Jimmy. If they are engaged in VADA testing, why is the only guy with the letter Keith Idek? And why all this secrecy? Why hasn't the WBC come out to talk about this?
Well, first off, Keith Idek works for Showtime. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest. He's the same way. Carlo is right. Showtime owns Boxing Scene, so obviously they're going to lean towards that. But my thing is this: even if they are VADA, it doesn't mean they're being tested. They're just enrolled. Just because you're having a fight doesn't mean you're being tested.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, it's just if your number comes up, you might go a year, not get tested. You know what I mean? It's a roll of the dice.
And that's the other thing.
Doesn't
Like
mean
we
they
talked
haven't
about,
been regularly tested.
right? That's the other thing. Like we've talked about, even if you are enrolling, you're getting tested, unless it's 365 days a year, random testing year round. You can still pretty much circumvent all of that, right? If you have a 2-week window or two, yeah.
Well, it depends on, if you're taking, if you were just, no, you don't even have to worry about it, man. I wouldn't just, I would go into the fight taking just testosterone. But look at it. If somebody takes testosterone, injects testosterone, or even ingested, I would say injected, but if they always take it and every time they get tested, they have elevated testosterone, that would be their baseline. So they would, so what I mean? So just you could always be taking testosterone, but you don't want to take anabolic steroids because those are the harder things to mask. But androgenic, the male hormone steroid, is harder to catch. That's where you need a hair follicle to be really sure on that, or blood or test.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, go.
Well, we've talked about it, and I don't know if people want me to put it up, but I will if I have to. That photograph of Errol Spence with the let's call them breasts, the pointy nipples.
Male gyno.
Yeah.
I mean that's brutal. And again, it happens, but it usually happens if you even think back to your childhood. It's always, remember the tubby kids, the poor chubby kids who weren't athletic, the doughboys, they had the fucking titties and shit because they just had extra estrogen. But it very seldom, if it happens in your teenage years when you're 18 years old and you get a fucking hard on because the wind blows, that type of shit. So you're getting so much testosterone pumped in your system, your body's elevating a little more estrogen. You might get at best some fucking sore nipples, a little swelling, but you don't end up with, that's actual tissue. So that means you develop tissue. That almost never happens with somebody his body type. And at his age, adult onset, because I saw pictures of him when he was 19, it wasn't like that.
Mm-hmm,
so
exactly,
that's adult onset. It doesn't happen in your adult years. The chances are so slim that it's ridiculous. And listen, one of the first things I ever said when I called this show was and I said it in the next round more than once. It was what I heard back when I had the connections down there, which are not there anymore. I already said that, but there was a big rumors coming out of that gym, Ronnie Shields' gym out of Houston, I believe. There was a lot of sauce. And, I mean, let's be honest, the Charlos, remember when they first started creeping along on Showtime, just banging dudes out in the first round and shit? And remember all the power? And all of a sudden, as they get closer to the top in the rankings and that much greater chance of VADA testing you, all of a sudden everybody's power starts to dissipate. Even that big African kid who ended up signing with the fucking Top Rank.
Oh, yeah, a Jagba.
Remember him when he first came around, dude, just fucking lacing people out. And all of a sudden, like, what happened to his power? It's a big deal. You're taking hardcore fucking testosterones, man. And the thing is, and it's not even the strength, it's the confidence. The confidence thing makes, if you've been fighting for years on steroids, to suddenly start fighting off them, that could be rough on the mental, on the brain.
Did you guys see the open workout, media workout that Spence did? The guy looks huge, man. He is looking, I mean, he's always been ripped and everything, but I don't know, maybe it's because it's been a while since I haven't seen him. That guy is strong, man. Like you said, Jimmy, you look at pictures of this dude from the Olympics, and then you compare him to now.
Yeah, but that's a good thing if the guy could take out his opponent early. But if the opponent goes for the distance, he goes the long run, and the opponent's there late, that's going to pay dividends. That's going to be a check that his ass can't catch. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times when the fighters are dehydrating themselves and are being weight bullies, when you get to the later stage of the fight progresses and you can't knock the guy out and the guy's there, he's going to be like Mike Garcia. I'm trying to knock out the guy, but I cannot. In the 10th round when they told him, Derek James, hey, just knock him out. He says, I'm trying to, but I can't. That's when, and now he's not in his early 20s. In his late 20s, I mean, he's in his early 30s. It's not the same. Considering this is his first division in boxing, he's not gone up at all. He's still trying to maintain that weight ever since.
Remember, if it's been said for years, BDA, remember we were first saying that? Everybody was saying that 5 years ago, well, he's not going to be hanging on welterweight anymore. He's busting at the seams. The thing is this, if you're taking PEDs, it's a hell of a lot easier to make weight. Because if you're willing to take PEDs, then there's all kinds of helpers to help you cut weight.
Yeah, Jimmy, and it's not like Spence is going to knock you out within the first 4 rounds. He's not. You know why? even though he calls himself man down, he hasn't got knockouts at welterweight because he chips away. But like I mentioned to you one time, he's not throwing the punches where he's putting everything behind it. So where sometimes you will get off balance because you're throwing. He doesn't have a haymaker. It's all tat tat tat. It's all mechanical. Break you down, chip away, and chip away, break you down. Doesn't it's not the equivalent as like one haymaker that's gonna fucking, even though I got heavy hands and they could throw speed behind it, I'm gonna knock you out with one shot. He doesn't have that type of one shot type of haymaker. He doesn't. He's always in. This is the drawback. When you're always in position, you always got balance. You're always doing everything right. You're taking no risks to step out of your comfort zone. And he's that type of guy where at the elite level, if you're a tough guy like Ugas is, who's also tough, and you can take whatever the other guy gives you and you can deal with it, it's gonna go the distance.
Absolutely.
He's not going for broke. Spence is not going for broke. He's not throwing like a fucking Julian Jackson type of punch. He's heavy-handed too. Why not? Because he's mechanical. He's very he does everything right. But when you do everything right, there's a fighter that's going to take a shortcut. And if that fighter doesn't take a shortcut, but he's tough, that's also another dynamic. He's going to last. But when you got things going against you, when you're a weight bully and you're real big, but you're cutting down to make the weight at the day of the fight, the date of the scale, to where the day of the fight, 12 to 18 hours later, and the later rounds, that's going to pay a dividend that your ass can't catch. That's going to be problems for you because this is the first division you're fighting in, and you're not in your early 20s. You're in your mid-30s almost, or early 30s. I don't know how old he is, but you guys get my point.
He's a hammer. He's going to try to hammer guys throughout the long stretch of the fight. He's not an explosive whipping fighter like Terence Crawford. Now,
that's the greatest point I've heard you made in a long time, BDA.
You know why?
He's a hammer.
You know
why?
Hammer,
BDA. That's right.
You know why you like that? You know why you like that point? Because you made that point. I'm piggybacking off that point you made a month ago. You mentioned that Crawford's the whip in terms of power. He's more like a whipping type fighter, and Spence is more of a thudding type fighter. But Jimmy, what about that? When look, listen, we know most of these top guys are on something where it's a diuretic, PD, EPO, whatever. But is it unsurprising then to know that this guy came back from this accident, considering that he's probably taking a whole bunch of cocktails for conditioning?
Well, if he's it makes because that's what steroids. That's the number one effect is recovery. It helps you heal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the thing is, he's got the kind of cash now. He could take growth hormone. There'd be nothing to stop him from flying to Germany and getting blood work and doing it proper. You know, if he wanted. I mean, that would be the ideal thing because they're not going to be able to even test for that. And that's where all your strength, and that's strength that lasts. That doesn't go away like with steroids. You don't have to worry about losing your gains. You keep 90% of your gains with GH. So if he was smart and he's taking drugs, that's what he'd be taking. Plus, it also helped him heal more.
You know what? It's interesting because people in that Twitter thread, they asked Keith Idec, how come if you go to the website, the Vita website, they'll give you the names of Canelo, Bivol, White, Fury, Serrano, Taylor, but they don't mention Ugas or Spence. And he says that somebody says that. Well, somebody said it's because that means they're not enrolled. I mean, that means they're enrolled but not participating. And then Keith Idec replied and he said, "That's a good question. Shouldn't be anything to hide. You'd think the WBC would want transparency as it relates to its clean boxing program. I'll ask." So, and that was yesterday. So, we'll see if he gets back to the masses with an answer. But isn't it weird though? I mean, why so much lack of transparency when it comes to the Vita testing? I mean, all these fighters now, they love to celebrate how they're enrolled in this and they're clean fighters. Meanwhile, things are just a little bit more secretive than before. Nothing's really changed. These guys.
Well, the PBC, part of the PBC's mission statement when they started that they were going to enroll every fighter in an in-house fucking, most, the hardest or the deepest one ever. Like they were going to, like no fighter has ever been investigated for steroids. All their fighters, they were going to set the industry standard for, checking fighters for doping. And you just never heard nothing about it. It just never happened.
I mean, listen, Canelo supposedly is enrolled in Vita testing and he's testing clean according to their results. So that tells you how much
Yeah, well, again,
effective.
if it's growth hormone, they're not going to be even fucking. They're not going to be checked. They're not taking.
But that's what I'm
that
saying.
test.
That's what I'm
They're not
saying is
taking-
that's
they're
how
not testing for
effective it
growth.
is. That's what I'm saying. That's how effective it is. That you want to look at Canelo, you can tell he ain't natural. But apparently, Vada's saying that he is. So I mean, hey, it is what it is.
I honestly, in my opinion, I think he's a combination. He looks like, to me, just looks like he took growth and insulin. That's the physique he looks like to me.
Cocaine?
He messed with insulin.
Or
what's that?
Cocaine?
No, insulin, like diabetics take.
Okay. No, I said maybe I was asking
fat
if,
like
if
nothing. Oh, yeah,
I
I
was-
know. Cocaine, that would be stupid. That eats away muscle way too much.
BDA, that's a crazy question. Would drugs, would the growth enhancement, whatever the boxers are taking, would that give you a greater chin, or would it just increase the strength? Because we know a lot of times when fighters are strong, sometimes they can't take a punch. Does that also give you a chin?
Well, it would. Listen, here's the thing. Well, go ahead, Jimmy. You answer.
Well, it's not that it gives you a chin, but if you strengthen your neck, if you use the drugs proper, say if you're taking growth hormone and you do insane amounts of neck rolls and put your head in the neck machine and just thicken your neck all up, like, it's the size of your thigh, that's going to help you take a shot. You know what I mean? The thick neck. So it could help in that benefit in that way, but it as a drug, no, it doesn't help you take a punch anymore. That's something you either have or you don't. There's no, narcotic for that.
So Jimmy, what you're saying, and I'm no expert, and I'm just realizing what you're saying. So if you can work out harder, if you can train harder, because you're taking the drugs before, that makes you like able to prepare faster.
Yes, you recover exactly. So
not just recover. You're training harder. Therefore, you're putting in more the work that you become that much stronger.
Well, you can run the risk of overtraining. Overtraining is worse than undertraining. Overtraining just makes your muscles stringy. So, but the point is, say, like if you were to do everything right off steroids at your age, and just say somebody in their 30s, just clean, you have to make sure you get your 8 to 10 hours sleep. You have to make sure you're taking all your fucking, vitamins. You're on the juice. You don't have to sleep 4 to 6 hours a night, as long as you're catching a couple hours of REM, but it's the recovery. So if you pound your chest out in a workout on Monday, you can do it again Thursday. If you're on juice, if you're clean, you got to wait at least a week, or you just, you're pissing into the fucking wind.
Yeah, I mean, hey, by the way, Luciano, are you thinking of dabbling in a little bit of juice to up your game in the wrestling, or?
Hey, no, but I do have a little bit of a funny story. I was hanging out with some of my friends, and he was like, "Yeah, I got some." One of my friends was like, "Yeah, I got some fucking supplements. Somebody in my gym just gave me something. Like, he just said, here, I don't need this." So we went out in his car. Fucking pulls it out. It's fucking clenbuterol, dude. It was like I was meeting a celebrity. I was like, "Oh my god, that's the shit." Oh goodness me!
Imagine he was using.
Nah, man, nah. I'm not trying to be a
Was it strips of 10? Well, like in package strips of 10?
It was in like a bottle, man. I don't know, like he didn't open it, but it was in a pill bottle.
Hey, imagine it wasn't even clenbuterol. Imagine the guy was just a closet homo, and he goes like, "Yeah, smell this," and it's actually chloroform. And then you wake up tied up. Anyway, listen, I'm just throwing out stories.
Clenbuterol of all the drugs people take, that's probably one of the easiest to spot when somebody's working out, because whatever body part they're training turns fucking bright red. Somebody like Canelo, I would imagine, must be crazy looking, because all the niacin. It just pushes all the niacin into your muscle. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I did see pictures of him with his fucking knees blistering red. So I don't know what the fuck he was doing after the press conference. Bad fucking stupid joke. Because Canelo got bad knees anyway, so it's not serious.
All right. Well, listen, we're all over the place today, man. Don't worry about it. Listen. That was my whole thing there with the VADA testing. I don't trust it. Supposedly VADA is better than USADA, but how much better? It's up for contention right there. Look at
again. You can be signed, doesn't mean you're getting tested. And before we go, I'd like to talk something too. What happened on?
Jimmy, can I just say real quick? Yes. I'm gonna dip out for a minute, so you guys take over, right, please. But I'll be listening.
I'm gonna wait for you for that.
Well, I'll be listening.
I'll bring it up. Okay, I'll bring it up while you're listening. Okay. Well, I don't know if you guys saw. I don't know how many of you guys are on Twitter, but Len and Ellaby. Obviously, again, I don't know if they're faking this riff to bring attention to the Rolly fight, or if the riff is real. But again, whether it's not, Ellaby catches a lot of shit on social media. He posts something, and 90% of the responses are negative, and they're just going at him. And every now and then, it seems like he gets like to the point where he can't take it anymore, and that's when he says the most ridiculous things. That's when he's like, you know what I mean? Walls are closing. He says stupid shit. But this week, the other night, he tweeted out that, all right, I'll be the one to say it like he was brave. That's the best part. Oh God! But that it's the sport is a double standard for guys, well, for black guys, but for minorities. And he actually even listed Steven Espinoza as someone who's had to, go against the struggle. We're talking about Steven Espinoza grew up in like a upper middle class family. He's a Stanford grad, graduated Stanford Law School. He's an executive millionaire and lawyer. And I liked how somebody phrased it with a trophy wife. But yet he was marginalized. It's so absurd. But the fact that it's not that, they matched that kid like a joke for 5 years. They would talk about what does Taylor have to offer, and then go fight a fucking Isaac Cruz. What does Teofimo offer, and then go fight Burroughs. So people just got tired of his clown shit, and they go at him. But for him to turn around and say that it's not his fault or the reason why he's not getting Rolly's, this fight's not getting the right press, it comes down to it's because of their race. I just think that is as craven and weaselly, and it's just cowardice. You know what I mean, to me. And then for him to word it that way, I guess I'll be the one to say it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was brave. Anyways, what do you guys think about that?
It comes with the times. He's catering to the people that are right now. I'm not in the United States, but I know there's a lot of drama with the race thing. So he's just catering to those people, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm from the outside looking in.
He even said, well, I'll post a tweet. He even said at the end of the tweet, "This is the worst. Stay woke."
He's got to be LARPing, and I got to tell you, man. I got my finger on the pulse of America and Canada and everywhere else you can think of. This whole race thing is getting played out now. Jimmy, I sort of missed out certain spots of what you were saying because I was pissing like a racehorse. But did you mention that study that I always like to bring up about how a lot of black people, more than any other ethnic group out there, or whatever you want to, racial group, whatever you want to call it, base their race around their identity more than any other group? Did you bring that up?
Well, it's a Pew study that 75% of African Americans out of 100,000 interviewed, 75% said that race was a key factor to their identity. Race was that important, 75%. Whereas whites, it was 15%.
Yeah, in other words,
whites don't think of their race, so it's so much in their forefront that it ends up overlapping into so many other things. But not all black people. There's plenty of black people who don't think like that, who don't think of boxing that way. In fact, we get a lot of great callers who call in who don't even look at it that way. In fact, they'd be like Coach Malachi. He knows it's a clown world. He tweeted something about it, talked about it in his show. It's ridiculous. I mean, you have your top, when I'm going to post his tweet, what he said, but when you have the top 5 earning fighters of all time are black, and you just go down the line, and then the people who control the sport, the ones who run the sanctioning bodies, they're all Mexican, right? Suleiman, and then the other one from the WBA.
Well, you know what, man? Somebody said that. Somebody said that in the comment section of that, because I saw that tweet by Haymanites. He talked about that, and somebody from Erlerby's tweet said, "Oh man, that's because everyone on the commission is white." And I go, everyone on the commission? First of all, which commission? He's talking about the California State Commission, the Las Vegas, New York. So that right there is just a whole bunch of vague statements, so they can always cover their ass and always have an excuse. And here's the other thing: I can't help but feel that when people bring up race as a reason why they haven't succeeded in life, it's based off narcissism. It's based off narcissism because think about it. The premise is, I'm so good, I'm so awesome, I'm so great that people are jealous of me and they gotta keep me down. And then when you said that, when you said, well, a lot of black people have succeeded in boxing? They'll say, well, we succeeded this in spite of all the obstacles. So not only does that, so now they take narcissism to another level. Now they're saying, hey, I'm so great that even if you put obstacles in front of me, I still succeed and we still run boxing. First of all, I've heard some people say that, and I've heard Mexicans and all sorts of race groups say that, we. Are you a boxer? Are you involved in boxing? Did you lead to Deontay Wilder's success or Errol Spencer? So this whole, listen, I don't even want to spend too much time on this because it's we've talked about it before. It's ridiculous to attach yourself to another athlete or media personality just because they share the same race as you. I got newsflash for a lot of these people. If you met Deontay Wilder or if you had to work for him or something, I'm pretty sure he'd get on your nerves within 3-4 days. Because it's one thing to watch these people on the TV screen. It's a whole other thing to meet them in person.
Yeah, race is important, and the Mexicans, they might have some intangibles that make them great fighters, and the African Americans might have others that always have made them great fighters as well. But once you start easing up, it's like, dude, and I'm not trying to be controversial, but back in the slave days, when you're treating people that harsh, a lot of those guys are gonna come out tough, and they're gonna be badasses. But nowadays, when they take it so easy that you don't got the pressure like of a certain weight, man, people are gonna take a break, and it's just like everything in life. You know, you take it easy upon yourself, nothing good is gonna come out of that. Things come out of like when people are putting the pressure on you out of hard circumstances. That's all I'm saying, man. It's not a race thing. I'm just trying to make an example.
No, you're absolutely
when you're put in the tough position, good things come out of that.
You're absolutely right. And look, I wanted to piggyback off of that a lot of this started because when the Eastern Europeans became professionals, they didn't used to do that back in the day. And when they started doing that, they had a lot of success in the professional ranks. And I think that irked some of these racial fanboys the wrong way. And it just reminds me, I don't know if you guys saw the news, Cuba will now allow their boxers to turn pro abroad. But I gotta tell you, a lot of people lost their shit. A lot of people lost their shit when they read this and go, whoa, Cubans. I don't know if they're gonna have that much success as professionals. What do you guys think?
BDA, it's like the Mexicans. Their success comes, it's not about the race thing because they're trying to make themselves to the other side of the border. They want to get that money where they're making the greens, that their willingness to put themselves, like to make that sacrifice, makes them a better fighter, just like the Cubans. They're like the African Americans at one point, they're trying to earn their money. It makes them want to become better. Like the Italians at a certain point, like Paulie Malignaggi mentioned in his comments. Man. The Jews, that's the reason why the human need to want to to become better. It's not about a race thing. Yeah, as a race, you have some intangibles, the fast twitch muscles, and the Mexican, the food, the eating the tortillas, the getting the stamina, like the long walkers. We all have some intangibles. But you guys piggyback on what I'm saying. I'm just trying to mention something.
Yeah, sorry about that. Because somebody was making, I think it was La Evolucion was tenderizing some meat or something. Or maybe he was tenderizing his meat.
He's like the hammer.
Oh, my boss.
He's like Errol Spence, the hammer, just constant.
But back to my question. But my question was: do you guys think the Cubans are going to have success or long-term success in the professional ranks, or is it going to be short-lived success like Gamboa?
Depends.
No. It's been long.
Okay, but Gonzalo, let Jimmy want to say something.
Okay.
Well, if he had something to say, I was just going to say it just depends on if they grew up in the Cuban system. You know what I mean? If they were training, if the whole system was geared towards amateur fighting, if all your best trainers, I don't think they're going to, I think they might years later, like the next generation, because everything's going to have to change. If you're a trainer down in Cuba, why would you be training a fighter in a professional style? So all your best trainers down there train amateur style. So they have a lot of good fighters. Boxing's huge in that culture. So yes, because of the poverty level, everybody knows boxing's driven by socioeconomics. Rich kids don't get put into boxing. Very seldom. It's like Gonzalo said, it's a vehicle to get out of poverty. So for that reason, I believe Cuban, just like Puerto Rico, they're going to put out great fighters. I don't think they'll take the crop that it's been training as amateurs and who are 28, 29 and suddenly turn pro. I don't think they're going to be, as successful as, other countries. But can I just, because some guys don't have Twitter, so instead of me just butchering what he said, let me say exactly what he said. LB, he said, I'll say what others won't. people of color and women, this is classic too, are not afforded the same support or same evaluation system as others. The reality is people like Floyd, Al, Steven Espinoza, and myself are held to a different standard in boxing, and it's very unfortunate. Stay woke. First off, women, how's this? You dickhead. They're in the PBC. They don't have one female fucking fighter, and he owns a promotional company. They don't have any female fighters fucking signed. So he caught a lot of shit from female professional boxers going, wait a minute. Oh, women don't have the same, afforded the same luxuries, and you don't sign any. So that was bullshit. But for him, it's just going to show you how out of touch Ellaby is. Woke, regardless of whether you live in LA or New York City and you're, a socialite limousine dude. That is a toxic ideology that nobody is backing. So for him to say "stay woke" goes to tell you a lot about his character and the type of dude he is. But I just wanted to put that out there.
The fact that he doesn't recognize that the term "woke" now has a pejorative connotation amongst a lot of people is just goes to show you, like you said, how out of touch he is. But listen, he's banking on the fact that there's going to be people that are going to swallow that without gagging. But in regards, Gonzalo, you want to say something about the Cubans?
Yeah, the Cubans, two things they're always going to attach to their name, they're going to try to get out of the island. As long as the same political system continues in Cuba, they're always going to try to scapegoat out of the island. So they're always going to be wanting to have that human desire to excel. And the other that, unfortunately, kind of fortunate, is two things. It's like the Cuban style is the amateur, but the amateur style does pay its dividends on the back foot, throwing a lot of not throwing a lot of punches, throwing the punches here and there on the back foot where you are trying to land while your opponent misses. That style could also pay dividends in the professional ranks. So you got that going for you, and it's attached to the Cuban way, and that always is going to bring that illusion, the Cuban style in the professional ranks. So they're always going to bring those two things, the desire to win along with the style, and they're a little country. And these guys are trying to get out of that country. The one that's really, really good is always going to try to make him name for himself in the United States. There's always going to be like a guy here and there that's always going to try to make himself. There's always going to try to make a name for himself in the United States. They're always going to be around. They're not that many. There are a few, but they're always going to be that good, and they're always going to be there. It's not like
yeah. So it begs a question now, like, you're saying these guys that come up in Cuba, they get trained in the amateurs. Is there like a point or like an age where they would like switch over, say, okay, now like you're good enough, you're going to be professional, you're moving out to America now, and so they have that background and they get in the pro ranks early enough?
Well, that's a personal battle. That's a personal battle. You hope you get on that boat and get across before you get that old. I mean, that's a personal battle. And people need to start
now that the option is there, it's going to make it a lot easier for you.
There was never an option. How is there an option?
Well, they're letting them, I guess, leave now to box because what it was, which isn't surprising because you got to understand. Remember a couple of years ago, was it 3 years ago? They finally because Cuba puts out some great baseball players too, and they finally let Cuban leave to come to America. You know what I mean? I guess they have to give a percentage of their money back to, Cuba. I don't know how it works, but they've allowed that. I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, now they're allowing baseball players, soccer players to go be professional. When are they going to let that with boxing? I think boxing maybe because it's easier for them to defect because it's just one person instead of a whole team. I don't know why they waited so long to allow this to happen. I just can't see most fighters once they become millionaires. The same with baseball players going back to live there. No offense, but I mean they don't have any cars there newer than from 1957.
It's not as tough as where you have to make your way out of the island like Alcatraz. The prisoners trying to escape. You're always going to get your hype jobs. They're going to claim to be that good, but they're really not. So you're going to have a lot of fugazis, right? It's just like in life. You have a lot of con artists saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a Cuban fucking great fighter." I used to see those guys in TJ. Watch out for the Cuban. He's a good fighter. No, but he was just like a regular Joe Schmo. Just because he's a Cuban doesn't mean that he knows how to box. Yeah, they might have a little bit of the craft, just like every Mexican does. I know my hands a little, but that doesn't mean I'm like the other guy, right?
Well, can I say something about that? Because you brought up a good point about the Fugazi, because Look, I remember when Gamboa became pro in 2008, he looked like sure money. The guy had speed, power, explosiveness, good footwork, and you're thinking, whoa, finally a Cuban, one of the most celebrated amateurs out there at the time, finally turning pro. This is going to be good. And what happened? They moved him fast, and the chinks in the armor were apparent early on. He was getting dropped, he was getting caught, and then obviously he never fulfilled the potential. So that Cuban style, like you said, Gonzalo, it's very good for the first 3-4 rounds. They're going to look good when they start out as professionals, when the fights are short. When they get to the 10-12 rounders, I think a lot of them you're going to start seeing a lot of their defects. That's what I think. But it remains to be seen whether Cubans are actually going to make it out.
I was going to say something, but you said it right there with what you said. Going the distance, and everybody knows why, the difference between amateur and professionals. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, man. It's only going to make things more interesting. That's for sure. Because, a lot of people say diversity doesn't work. Well, in boxing, it works fantastic because the more
that's why I keep holding and I keep sticking true to like a fighter like Golovkin, because Golovkin got the power and he got the chin. A lot of times you have fighters, and not just Cubans, like Terry Norris, that got the power, got the skills, but if you don't have the chin to par, you can always be really, really great, but you're not gonna be. You can always be really, really good, but you're not gonna be that great because you're gonna lose some. Because you're gonna get clipped regardless if you're winning or not, or knocking fools out. When you get hit and you get dropped, you're gonna lose. That's what I'm saying. To be a great fighter, it's just mean, I'm just hitting you. You gotta take a punch as well. And like Golovkin, yeah, you can be slow, but when you can deliver a shot and take a shot, you're always gonna be hanging around. So whether you're old or not, you're gonna be hanging around. And once you get your timing down, man, dude, that dude is still a beast. That's why, like a Golovkin, I can still place some money on him and hold some stock on his ass because he's a tough motherfucker.
Well, listen, we'll find out what happens there with those Cubans. Like I said, it's going to be interesting. We've got boxers coming out of England, Eastern Europe, America still, Mexico, Puerto Rico. Maybe they're going to have a resurgence. You never know. Argentina, every once in a while they produce good fights. So we're getting back.
Sorry, I can't word it another way, because sometimes
that's okay.
Stop.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize. It's going to make you look weak to the chat room. And you don't want to do that. These people can smell weakness from a mile away. They're going to let you have it. Well, listen.
That's right.
That's all right. The other thing I want to bring up, and I know you guys are going to say, "Billy, why do we keep talking about this fight?" I'm very interested in Rolly Romero versus Gervonta Davis because Romero does almost everything wrong in there, but he's talking so much trash that he's either going to crash or burn. And I got to tell you, he just came out with this comment. I think today he said, Romero, I don't think Tank is as big of a puncher as people make him out to be. And then he said something interesting. He said he's either been knocking out smaller guys or weight drain guys like Jose Pedraza. I mean, if he goes in there and Tank Davis just flattens him, he's going to look bad, man. But that's what I'm interested in because his whole team seems to be very abrasive. There's that one dude with the braids. I told you last episode, I really disliked how after the Marinas fight, which he should have lost, by the way. I know when it's a close fight, I'll usually tell you, it's a close fight, could have gone either way. Now, this time, Marinas should have gotten the decision. It was a bad decision. And Marinas is walking out of the ring, and Romero's assistant trainer or whatever he is goes, go back to the drawing board. Go back to the drawing board. Like, they were taunting him afterwards. I said, fuck this whole team, man.
PD, but that's one thing that
if he gets starched, though, what happens, though? Does his reputation take a hit?
Well, what reputation, right?
That's the thing, though. If he goes out and if he gets blistered in the first 2 rounds, he just goes back to being Rolly. You know what I mean?
That's the thing I got to wonder. Because Rolly Romero might come out as a dummy, but he's from the Mayweather. What's that sparring sessions that they used to hold that's popular on the YouTube? The Doghouse.
Yeah.
Romero and Gervonta Davis belong to that same type of life, the doghouse sparring type of way.
That's true.
So obviously they've seen each other spar and they know enough about each other that if Rolly Romero's going to speak, whether he's a dummy or not, he's got the experience from that type of lifestyle that he knows a little bit about Gervonta Davis to make a kind of an assertive comment. So he's not just going to speak out of the side of his neck or, he's going to write a check that his ass can't catch. He's talking because he's seen the guy sparring bigger guys
and maybe with bigger gloves, sparring bigger guys, he's not looking like that 26 to 28, 90% knockout ratio that he possesses in the actual fights. So he's a bigger guy. He realizes that the difference in size is going to make a difference, and that's why he's saying what he's talking. That's what he's the things that he's saying. That's all I'm saying. He's not that foolish, man.
I get what you're saying. And I'm looking at the positives too, the awkwardness, the strength. He does pack a wallop in there. But man, you got to admit, Gonzalo, and I think Jimmy will agree with me on this, and Laudicion too, the flaws are just too glaring, man. He's just all over the place. He doesn't know how to cut the ring off. He walks leaning backward. He doesn't really show that much punching variety. It's like I don't see him. I mean, I could see him. I always see a way in which a guy could beat another almost all the time. This time, though, those flaws are pretty glaring, man.
He
loses.
Punched out.
He loses. And it's like what they say, the experience that they also have together, that's what Mayweather's betting on. That, the doghouse sparring, we know what Rolly brings to the table. We know what we bring to the table. We're just more of a polished fighter that this time we're going to look exciting. We're not going to get on the back foot. We're going to go in there and we're going to clip this dude Rolly with shots down the middle, whether it's uppers or straight shots, where I'm going to get mine. Gervonta Davis is going to come to spark this guy out, and he's going to do it the right way, and he's going to look exciting. He's going to win. There's no doubt about that.
Well, what about that, guys? I mentioned this on the Open Lines Friday show that Romero believes that Mayweather might just be banking on Romero to win because they're getting tired of Tank Davis. They can't really control him. Meanwhile, they might be looking at Romero as a guy they can market to the current Zoomer crowd. Do you think there might be something to that, or is there just no way that happens? Anybody?
Oh, he's got to come looking out like Mike Tyson. He's got to come fighting like a Mike Tyson. And Gervonta Davis could certainly do that. But he's got to get it in his mind that that's what I really need to do. Because he can do that. Mayweather cannot tell him, fight this other way. You got to fight the way God gave you the ability to fight. Couple your punches together. Sit down on your legs. Get the little spring off your knees where, you're coming up with the power upper when you're putting two punches where you're turning into your shots. That's what he needs to do. Why, if you're Mayweather, why would you keep him from doing that? Why would you tell him, no, get on the back foot, fight? Why would you keep him from doing that? For fighting the right way?
You think, what's his name? You think Romero's stronger? I'm not saying better on the inside, whatever, just physically stronger than Isaac Cruz?
They're about the same, but Romero's bigger. So that changes, and I can't talk about this because I'm gonna lose my train of thought. But you could probably explain this better than I can. When you're the same as strong as the other guy, but you're bigger, as the rounds keep going on, that strength plays a different factor in the sense of how the fight plays out. And you can probably speak more about that because I can, but I'm gonna lose my train of thought by trying to say it. It does change. It does change, BDA. It does change.
BDA, did you? I just posted a tweet from that dude Human Nights. I just noticed it now. It's from not even recent. It was from last month, but because he just DM'd me it. Did you see it? It's in the same. His face. It's so true. I'm trying to figure out the word antagonistic.
Okay, BDA. This is the best way I can explain it. Chavez was a strong guy at 140, lightweight. He was a strong guy, come forward, pressure fighter. He was a quality fighter. But at 47 against Pernell Whitaker, who was kind of like a back foot fighter, defensive, he wasn't that strong because even though Pernell Whitaker was a back foot defensive fighter, he was equally as strong as Chavez. He was bigger, but he didn't punch as hard as Chavez, but Chavez was smaller. That they kind of equaled out. Yeah, okay. Pitbull Cruz is a strong guy. He's smaller. He might be better than Rolly Romero, but Rolly Romero is just that much bigger. That the dynamic changes just a little bit. It's a game of inches, not just a game of inches in dimensions. A game of inches in weight, to where that the difference in weight makes things a little bit different. Also,
well, listen, the fighting. We're gonna be seeing what happens, man. Because listen. That's the other pet peeve I wanted to mention before we leave. That fight's pay-per-view, right? Well, guess what? Here in Canada, for some strange reason, which I've yet to ascertain, Ryan Garcia versus Tagoe is on the Zone pay-per-view here in Canada. So if you get the Zone subscription, they're charging you $15 for it. I'm not kidding, man. I am not kidding. It's $15 here in Canada. And I'm thinking, I was talking to Butch, I go, why do you think they're doing this? He goes, I don't know. Do you think they're starting to play around with the idea of more pay-per-views and they're starting it out in certain markets to test out how people react? I got to tell you, I ain't going to pay for that shit. I am not paying for Tagoe versus... That is not a
real. That's a fucking Friday night fights level fight. The only difference being Ryan Garcia got a lot of Twitter followers, you know?
Exactly.
Like...
And imagine, so
that's a fucking warm up, little rusty fight, you know.
So if they ever put Ryan Garcia in there with Devin Haney, they're gonna charge you pay-per-view. It's gonna be at the Zone pay-per-view for sure. I mean, this is getting sickening, man.
Of course, if they're gonna use pay-per-views, of course that would be.
This is absolutely disgusting, fellas. I gotta tell you.
One thing, Rolly Romero, he's a strong guy, but let's not forget.
Gonzalo, we gotta go, man.
Also strong.
We gotta go. Yeah. We gotta move on from the Romero fight because we gotta go. But listen, you guys were on fire today, all of you. We do have to go, but shout out to all you fellas. Shout out to all you fellas. Hey, Wilson, you wanna give us a little bit of you wanna plug where you're gonna be at or?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna be fighting for my school's next event, training day 30 something. I'm fighting a guy, RJ Rude. If y'all want to see my fucking fights, I had a good fight. I had a real good fight for a championship belt at my school's event. You look up Test of Strength Lone Survivor 3. That's the name of my school's event. The whole fucking thing's on YouTube. It's like 2.5 hours.
Whoa.
I'm up there around the 2. You scroll through. I'm at like 2 hours, 25 minutes. My match starts.
Well, they're not going to be link. It's because I'm kind of a lazy fuck. Can you just post the link?
I'll throw a link in there for the boys right now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
If you want to stick around for the after show,
and the rest of you savages, fucking hit the like button for the love of God.
That's right. Hit the like button. Come on. I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, people are saying good luck to you, bro, for that event. What did you say? Test of Strength, Lone Survivor?
Test of Strength, Lone Survivor 3. And I'll tell you the time. Yeah, that's my school's been around quite some time, 3 years now. Okay, you go to an hour and 23 minutes, right around there. My match will start. And yeah, it was a big fucking fight for me. It was my breakout match.
No kidding.
It's gonna do a lot of good things.
I'll have to check it out for sure, brother.
All right.
And I'm proud to announce too, real quick. I'm officially a fucking professional. I got my first paycheck.
Oh,
my first
congratulations,
check.
brother.
Got paid for having a match. You know what I mean? So
nice.
Congratulations, brother.
Nice,
good
man.
for you, brother. Congratulations, man.
Congratulations.
That's cool. Hey, I would advise you, Revolution. You're like 5'8", no 5'9". You should probably go down to Tijuana, to the auditorium over there, and hook up with some of the wrestlers there. They could teach you some acrobatics. They got a lot of great wrestlers in TJ, man.
Yeah, I want to know more about that lucha libre style, bro. It's totally different.
A lot of dudes get fucked up in that, though.
Oh, come on, Jimmy.
Those guys are insane.
But if you want to make the money, that's where.
Jimmy's always got to be
Mexican.
Jimmy
Hey,
Downer.
come on. I like Revolution. I don't want him fucking talking like a half a twit.
Hey, listen, there's no risk, no reward, man. That's what I say.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio Jr. is his uncle used to. Well, he's my friend. No, I think he's still alive. I used to know him. Well, I still know he's still alive, I believe.
Yeah,
Rey Mysterio's uncle.
I remember the old comic books when I used to go to the
Rolly
store.
Romero is going back to it after this fight.
I was talking about the wrestlers I used to read about back when I was in the grocery store. They would have the magazines there with the comic books from Lucha Mil Máscaras, El Blue Demon.
Oh, Mil Máscaras was a bad motherfucker. He was a big Mexican, BDA, Mil Máscaras.
El Santo.
Yeah. El Rayo de Jalisco.
Well, listen,
How many of those
fellas.
dudes were the same dude and they just changed the mask?
No, come on.
There's only been about 10, 12 wrestlers in Mexico all time.
Mil Mascaras had 1,000 masks. He would come out with a different mask every time.
Yeah.
He had a different color mask. That's why he called him Mil Mascaras. 1,000 masks. He was about 6 feet. He was a tall Mexican for the other Mexicans.
Yeah, 5'9" over there is like being 6 feet 5 inches tall, man. Well, listen, fellas, we do have to go. So shout out to all of you guys for joining us. Really appreciate La Audición. Good to hear from you and good to hear you're doing well in the wrestling circuit, the wrestling. Jimmy, Gonzalo, Chief, who was here as well earlier on. Glad to have you on board. Good talking to you. Don't forget to hit that like button, fellas. Hit the like. Really appreciate it. Really helps us out. Spread the BDA gospel. There's still a lot of uninitiated. We don't want the Crimson Inquisition to creep around at the last minute. And if you don't see it coming, it's going to catch you. So make sure to read the BDA gospel and become acquainted with it. Now,
but it's also a lifetime investment.
Absolutely.
Because once you're in, there's no getting out of this. Once you let BDA into your head, forget it.
Okay, come on, man. But anyway, listen, fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody that donated via the super chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat room too. Everyone that listened to us, man. Really appreciate having you on board, and we always appreciate your support. I'm talking about the Chief, not the boxing Chief. It's a different Chief. The Quags, Don Ramon Champ, Soothsayer, No Soft Spot, Hawker Mustang, Eddie Valenzuela. With a exclamation point. And if I forgot anybody else, guys, we do have to move on. But thanks again for joining us, guys. Catch you in the next one. Take it easy.